Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. It is Saturday night with the Wise Guys here for September the 9th, 2023. I am one of your hosts. I am the Big Rican on Sport, Mike Martinez. And let me bring in my co-host with the most, Mr. JC Blue Note, Jim Cornetti. James, happy Saturday to you, sir.
Happy Saturday, Michael.
As I sit here, I feel a presence. There is a disturbance in the force, Jim. And it's not John. I know I went disturbance in the force, but it's not John.
Yeah, because if that were the case, we probably would have rated the Twitch page. But it's but we could do. We've got plenty of time to do that.
Yes, we do. So if it's not John and there's a disturbance in the force, there's only one other person that could be, and that is the Wisey Elite. That is Mr. Alex Ruiz, our good friend from the wonderful windy city of Chicago. Alex, it's been a few weeks. We have missed you. How are you?
I'm doing well, guys. How are you tonight?
Doing good, my friend. Doing good. It's sporting the Bears, getting ready for tomorrow.
I'm locked in. I'm cautiously optimistic because we're not gonna jump the gun. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna be positive, but also like with reservation. We'll see.
Well, it's
as long as your receivers can catch better than Miracle Hardman, you're fine.
I'd like to think so. I think that we have a chance.
And we're going to talk about that game here a little later on tonight when we do our NFL kind of, preliminary roundup for week one. But we got a full boat tonight. We got a little bit of baseball. We got some NFL. We got some college football. But, Mike, why don't you kick us off tonight?
Well, so I get to pick the first topic, huh?
Yes.
Well, let's put it this way. I am going to say something that I heard a 100-year-old woman say today. In honor of a certain game that happened at noon, I'm going to say, give me my darn theme music. Yo, Colorado's for real. I'm telling you, they are for real. A 36-14 beatdown of Nebraska in Coach Prime's home debut. Guys, I expected them to win more than one game. I did not expect a win at TCU in week one and then to put a beatdown on it is a rebuilding Nebraska. But it is Nebraska, and it is Matt Rule who's got experience not only in the Big Ten with Rutgers, but also in the NFL, ruining Baker Mayfield's last season. So, Alex, have you caught any Colorado yet?
I was watching a little bit of the game this afternoon, just bits and pieces on my phone, and that defense is legit.
That Hunter kid is nasty.
He is. He's a bad man.
How many turnovers did they force? I saw 2. Was it more than that?
I only seen the 2 on replay. I guess I can't confirm if there were any more.
I've actually got the scoreboard up because I'm going to be updating the ticker at the bottom periodically throughout the show. So I'm getting that up now here.
We just need the Jeopardy theme now, Jim.
Yeah, but that'll get us a copyright hit.
Speaking of, should
4.
we tell him? Was it 4 turnovers?
4.
Should we tell Alex what happened the last time he was on?
Go ahead.
So, Alex, one of our other off the rail segments from our last episode with you was the Bruce Lee Chuck Norris video.
Okay.
I got a phone call a few days later from Jim at 7:45 in the morning. He goes, dude, we got a ban. I'm like, for what?
Way.
He said, Careless Whisper.
For the 3 seconds we played Careless Whisper, our video has been flagged for copyright in Russia.
Fucking Russia.
Stop.
Dude, my first question was, Putin not a fan of Wham or George Michael? I'm shocked at that personally.
Wow.
Bro, it was the funniest shit. I could not wait to have you on to tell you that again.
You could have given me like 15 guesses and I would have never guessed the country was Russia. Never.
He have problem with last Christmas.
That's because you can't give things away there.
You can, but you got to stand in line for 4.5 hours.
Probably 5 now because they're getting their ass handed to them by a country that's about that big.
Right. Oh, man.
So
Stole
the soundboard,
stole my thunder. Damn it!
the soundboard has extended. For those who caught that, that was Gene Wilder's explanation of the population of Rockridge in Blazing Saddles.
That's still my favorite one of the new ones.
Dude, no, mine is the Big Chuck and Little John laugh.
Oh, easily,
Just
yeah.
because, yeah.
That is, Alex, for reference. There's an immensely popular local like skit comedy show on like the Fox affiliate, which used to be CBS, called Big Chuck and Little John. In fact, I used to work with Little John's son years ago, and that was the canned laughter that they would use to finish all of their skits. And it was like one of the producers just laughing, and then they added one extra guy in, and it's a Cleveland mainstay. When you hear that, you know that somebody split a gut somewhere.
And their name is legit, kind of like I'm Big Rican, I'm a big dude. Big Chuck's about 6'4", Little John is a little person.
Very fitting then.
Absolutely. So going back to Colorado, here we go. There's one. Jim, write it down. There's one OTR. But going back to Colorado, what he has done in a short amount of time, and I don't want to talk about Flash. I don't want to talk about what his kid is doing quite yet. This team is disciplined. They are hungry. They're fast. I mean, I know, Jim, you've been...
That running back alone, I did not watch a single minute of any college football today because I had so many other things going on. But just with what I caught of the TCU game last week, that running back of theirs, that little scat back, wow.
Dude, he can fly.
That I'm willing to bet that might be one of the 3 or 4 fastest kids in all of D1.
Probably. And I think he was there. I don't think he did not come from Primary Jackson.
It was a transfer.
But Travis Hunter, who legitimately could go in the top 10 as a wide receiver or a defensive back. You think he's in the right place to play both?
I think so. Without a doubt, in my opinion, I would say.
This is insane. And just the exposure that Big Noon Sunday or Saturday. So the Fox game, the Fox answer to Game Day was at TCU last week, was in Boulder this week. And oh, by the way, they will be in Boulder again for Colorado State. Do you think Prime's brought some juice to the Pac-12 for its final season?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a tune-up game for them right now.
Well, they got USC and Oregon coming up in the next few weeks, right? I think we did the schedule. Dude, Alex, let me pose this question to you, and then Jim, I think I have your answer, but I want to ask you again. If they go out and beat USC, does the talk start? Does these guys? First of all, if they beat USC and Oregon, they're gonna get to the Pac-12 championship game. Does the talk start? Is Colorado going to get to a playoff in Deion's first year? Not saying they will. I'm saying, does the talk start?
I definitely think so. I mean, you've seen the stadium because you watched the game live, right? That stadium.
I didn't watch any of it. I've been watching a lot because I'm streaming everything. I've been watching a lot of the highlight packages or the condensed games of the Mets, Ohio State, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, that place was jammed.
I think the should say this, the buy-in is real, but I think if they keep playing like that, forget the hype and stuff like that, forget that Dean's the coach, like the quality of play that they're putting on the field right now is top tier, in my opinion.
Agreed. Jim, do they have to beat both Oregon and USC, or can they get this by a close loss against Oregon and then beating USC?
They're going to have to beat both because of how, I mean, you still, we all know my take from last week, pump the brakes. There'll be a playoff. There'll be a bowl team. They're not going to be a playoff team. I'll already say it now. They could go out and they're going to have to beat Oklahoma, Texas, USC, Oregon, they're going to have to beat them all. It's the only way they're going to get there. They got to have one loss on their schedule, and they're not having just one loss on their schedule this year. It's a nice story, but there's a difference between, fiction and reality.
Oh no, I agree with you. My main question with that is the narrative going to start? In today's hot take media, is the narrative going to start?
You're going to see people starting to talk about it, but it's definitely going to be something that they're going to have to change the narrative very, very quickly when they get slapped in the face. I mean, one big, who's to say that they don't play USC and USC beats them by 25? That's going to shut that topic down real quick, and we're not going to hear about them really the rest of the year as anything more than a novelty.
You're probably right. I just wanted to see what you guys thought of what the narrative would end up being if that happened. Look, I don't know if USC gets out of this week. If they lose to Stanford, that's going to be some problems for USC.
Just updating the score on the wire here real quick.
Wait, did Miami beat A&M by 15?
Yep.
My God, Jimbo, what are you doing? See, Clemson finally won a game. Hey, do you think Clemson started talking about being a basketball school after Duke cleaned their clock last week?
I would sure hope so.
God, Dabo's terrible. Well, I don't like the transfer portal. Well, the transfer portal's kicking your ass left, right, and center, bro. They haven't been the same since he ran his mouth, and then Ohio State beat them by 3 touchdowns in that Sugar Bowl.
Yeah, but he's got something that Ryan Day doesn't.
Not saying he doesn't. I'm merely speaking on since then. And by the way, Ryan Day very well may have had one of those had Dabo not gotten 2 stupidly irresponsible calls
or
in that game.
Or Noah Ruggles not actually kicked one back to Athens. Some people might say that ball is still rolling down a street somewhere.
It's very possibly rolling up 71 for all we know, Jim.
Yeah.
All kidding aside, please tell me that North Carolina lost to App State. Oh, no, never mind.
Yeah, it was that one I did not update yet because it was still going. Thank you.
You're welcome. No, it's halftime. The game I have on in the background is the Peacock game of the week, which is Maryland against Charlotte. And, Charlotte's beating Maryland 14-9. So one brother can't play against good competition. The other one just can't play. Cannot believe people think Captain Concussion is going to be able to stay healthy all year.
Who, Denzel Ward?
No, Tua.
Everybody's talking that he bulked up supposedly. That's gonna help, keep him upright.
He's got a melon as soft as a kiwi.
Well.
Kiwi.
Thanks, Homer. Well played, sir. Watching the halftime highlighted of the quarterback from Alabama throwing it to someone from Texas. There was his receiver was double bracketed, and he just threw the ball.
Well, we're going to get some shakeups this week then. I mean, North Carolina's going to drop a little bit.
Like a stone.
I mean, they won, but I mean, they'll fall a little bit. Texas A&M's going to fall out. Tulane's going to fall out. Colorado's going to go up a little bit. I think Utah's going to slip a little.
Who'd Utah play?
The 2013 winner over Baylor.
No, they'll stay pretty much the same, I think.
Wisconsin taking it on the chin right now. They got to wake up a little bit, or else they're going to fall out altogether.
Yeah.
Oregon losing, but they just came out of the half, and then the Texas-Alabama game. If Texas wins, Texas will be probably they'll jump to the top 7. I don't know about top 5.
What are they at? 11?
11.
Or 11.
Alabama would fall probably to 7 or 8, and I think Texas would slide up above them.
Here's a question, and some of it's going to be bias. Okay, and I understand that. Jim, contractual obligation has been fulfilled. Every single show, even when I was still in New York and I was sitting at the table, not in my chair, he would get on the table and his tail would end up in the camera. Serious question here. Can we get rid of the AP and the coaches poll, please?
I got into this knockdown drag out with my dad the other day, and we both ended up being on the right side of the equation here, is that keep both polls, but you shouldn't be allowed to make a poll until after the second week of conference play, which would be what, week 5?
Depending. I mean, you had a lot of teams open in conference. Not for nothing. Ohio State went on the road, new quarterback, new everything, and won by 20 points against a conference opponent. Bama played Middle Tennessee State, and somehow, because they won by 30 against a team that doesn't belong on the same field with them, jump into the top 3. But a team that won a conference game on the road by 20 dropped 2 spots.
Yeah, but it was also...
Make it make fucking sense.
We discussed this, though, is that it was a conference game that they should have won by 40.
Indiana's not as bad as people think they are.
I brought this up in the blog right before we went live tonight, is that every conference has always got one who's just kind of a mouth breather and a hanger-on. It's in the SEC, it's Vanderbilt. In the Pac-12, it's the 2 teams that have been orphaned right now, Oregon State and Wazoo. Primarily in the Big 12, not so much for their basketball, but it's definitely Kansas. It's Indiana is in football where the big money is made. Indiana only makes money if their basketball program is good, and it hadn't been that way for a lot of years lately.
Dude, the mouth breather in the Big Ten is Rutgers. Let's just say it.
Easily.
Indiana's 2 years removed from being this close to a Big Ten championship game.
You almost remember when we were when all 3 of us were growing up. Sorry to say it, Alex. Northwestern was the mouth breather.
Oh, I know.
In 10. But even now, they got themselves righted, and even being bad, they're still actually generating buzz. Unfortunately, right now, it's for all the wrong reasons.
Correct.
Yeah, that stuff just bothers me. I went over it in my head and I talked to somebody the other day. Bama plays 8 conference games, which means they have 4 games against shit teams. One of them the week before the Iron Bowl. Meanwhile, my boys, who if they don't get their heads out of their asses in 2 weeks, going to get their clock clean in South Bend against a good team on their field, and they'll just, even if they run the table the rest of the way, beat khaki pants, win the Big Ten, I bet you they don't get in the playoff.
I'm not trying to throw shade, Mike. The way that they're coming out of the chute, if they don't get things turned around, could this be a 2 or a 3-loss season for them?
If Penn State stays as consistent as they were the first couple weeks, yes, it could be. No, you know what? It could be a 2-loss season because Penn State has not played very well at the Horseshoe in recent years. They haven't.
Yeah, but Penn State's gone onto that field and beaten them in the last 10 years.
No, they haven't. They've won in Happy Valley. They haven't done it at the Shoe. They had a 20-point lead in the third quarter with Saquon Barkley and Trace McSorley, and that's the game JT Barrett went 14-14 down the stretch, and they lost.
Didn't they win in James Franklin's first year there?
That was a blocked field. That was at Happy Valley, the blocked field goal.
Okay.
Which I still blame Urban Meyer for. Call timeout, asshole. Set your protection.
He's busy texting a young girl.
Most likely. Thank you, Alex. Oh, God. We got to work one of the new ones in, Jim. You know,
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
I asked for that one so bad. Oh, my God. So what else in college football today? Let's see. Notre Dame beat NC State. Shocker there. Delaware got smoked by Penn State. Ohio State beat Youngstown State. Hey, did you see Tressel had on a sweater vest that had the Youngstown State logo and the Ohio State logo on it?
Yeah, congratulations for Ohio State, to Ohio State for squeaking by a 1AA school.
Hey. They won 35-7 and played two different quarterbacks. I ain't worried about it. Oh, did you see the Big Ten came out and said it was the wrong call on Harrison's touchdown last week?
No, it's Ohio State. Why would I care?
It's more for the officiating thing we've been talking about. It's almost as bad as Angel Hernandez. Okay. Well, no, nothing's as bad as Angel Hernandez.
That's another level.
Yeah, that's another level. So Harrison had a touchdown callback. So Kyle McCord's opener would have been, I want to say, 25 of 34 for 278 yards, a touchdown, and a pick, had they not fucked that call up. So you have people in the Ohio State fan base feeling a lot better about Kyle McCord going into week 2, had that call not gotten screwed up. Not saying he's played well, because he had today he was efficient, but that's Youngstown State. And next week's Western fucking Kentucky. What are you doing? Play good teams, please. Although they got Notre Dame in 2 weeks.
You said in South Bend?
Yeah, last year was the opener in Columbus, and then this year's in week 4 in South Bend. Because starting in 25, I think it's Texas in 25 and 26. And starting in 27, it's a home and home with Alabama. If Ohio State's got a brain in its skull, find a way to schedule that game in November.
They'll never go for it.
The Alabama
I
game?
know they won't. Yeah.
Yeah, no chance.
Because it'll also be right in the middle of conference play. You're never going to get an out-of-conference game that big, that late in the season.
Yeah, because Bama plays their out-of-conference games that late in the seasons against, the Citadel.
Yeah, but it's
College
usually
Charleston.
Again, it's the week before
Tough games.
It's the week before the Iron Bowl, and it's only one. You're not gonna get like Oklahoma, Ohio State, or you're not gonna get like Florida and USC that late in the year. Never gonna happen.
I would kill for a fucking tune-up the week before the game, instead of having to go to Happy Valley or having or Penn State come to us, or go to Michigan State, or vice versa.
You big dummy.
Taxes come out of my check. It ain't a charity.
Cut that.
Yes. So, Alex, what are you looking forward to the rest of the college football season? We got some really big games coming up, obviously. You got Ohio State, Notre Dame in a couple weeks. You got the big ones during rivalry week. You got the Colorado story unfolding within a few weeks. They got USC. What are you looking to see happen in the coming weeks in college football? Are you looking for a full shakeup, or do you think the Blue Bloods are going to come out of this?
I ultimately think the Blue Bloods will come out of it, but I mean, I'm I'm always happy to kind of see when an underdog or just like a team that is really, kind of fighting in the trenches and that, shines and they make the playoff, or, they just make a run, I guess you can say. It just kind of gets a little tiring. And this is no offense, but when you just see Alabama, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Clemson, when they were relevant in the playoffs and doing well, it's always good to see, just a diamond in the rough.
No, I gotcha.
I think that's why last year was so much fun, especially with Cincinnati, getting kind of breaking the mold, TCU breaking the mold, a little bit. You're absolutely right, Alex. It's just because, remember, for all those years, we actually had Oklahoma year after year after year showed that they didn't really belong because they couldn't get out of the semifinal. Alabama playing in 4 or 5 straight title games or something like that, winning 3 out of those 5. Ohio State getting there several times, but it'd be nice to actually shake things up a little bit, but and we're really going to see things pivot in 25 once all the expansion officially kind of comes through, because you're going to have a couple of those teams completely left out because they're not even going to get to the quote unquote, qualifying round of their conference championship game. They might get into the tournament, but you're not going to see them really make a run because of a bad draw.
Yeah, and the thing I'm looking most forward to for the rest of this year is, one, obviously, every Saturday, Ohio State's appointment radio for me, and when they're on Peacock and everything, I'll watch as much as I can, or Paramount or whoever. The two things I'm looking forward to: one, I am looking forward to Colorado. I love watching them play. I love the story. Everybody loved Deion when he was playing, and everybody has loved Deion since. But if you guys really want to get inside of what he's like, The Pivot, the podcast with Ryan Clark and Fred Taylor, and Channing something, I can't remember the third guy. That one, or when he did Club Shay with Shannon Sharp. If you listen to both of those, you hear him. He's not doing this because he's doing this because he has literally wanted to coach for a long time. I mean, they're talking about Shador when he goes to the pros. He's never had a coach that wasn't his father. And I'm talking never. Shiloh, same thing. You see the impact he has. Travis Hunter spurns Florida State. It's the number 1 recruit in the country. Goes to Jackson State to play for Coach Prime. And then watching his introductory press conference and his introductory speech to that team, he's on Twitch and he goes, "I'm coming, coach," and enters the portal that day. I mean, he is something fun to watch. I am also looking forward to seeing how Kyle McCord develops over the year, because he looked pretty good today. He did. And again, I know it's Youngstown State, but he got the ball to Harrison a bunch of times. Trayvon Henderson was able to run today. I'm looking forward to seeing how Ohio State builds throughout the year. Jim, what about you? Besides the trip, what are you most looking forward to this year out of your Gators?
I'm not even watching the Gators right now. It's
Did Utah put you off that bad?
I didn't even buy. Well, first of all, remember I couldn't even watch the game because Disney pulled off of Spectrum an hour before the pregame was supposed to go on that night.
That's right.
I'm looking to see, if I can quote the Nacho Man, the cream rising to the top a little bit as we start to get a little bit deeper. Who's pretenders? Who's for real? It's is Ohio State going to be a contender, or are they going to fall back? Is Michigan going to be able to pull ahead? If Alabama gets beat today, what happens to the SEC the rest of the way? Is this going to be a scenario like we had a few years ago where Alabama lost early and then LSU went to take charge and then Alabama beat LSU and then everything got thrown into a huge wrench? Is Georgia doing a three-peat got to admit, as repetitive as it is, that would be pretty freaking awesome because we've never seen that.
And they're not playing anybody.
Yeah,
Their schedule is shit.
yeah.
By the way, I'm in Brunswick, and I have Georgia fans saying their schedule is shit.
Right, but it's also you play who's on your schedule.
And part of this is the SEC making them cancel the home and home with Oklahoma.
Right, but I mean that's at least because now they know what's actually going on. It's because Oklahoma's joining the ranks in 2 years.
Yeah, like next year.
Next year, yeah. But it's I think the one thing that I'm paying attention to more than anything else, and I blogged about it just before we went live. What's the final year of the Pac-12 as we know it going to look like?
I think most people were thinking it was going to be the Caleb Williams show, but I think it's going to be the Coach Prime show.
Yeah, but in that regard, is Washington as good as as advertised? Is USC as good as advertised? Could Oregon State, one of the two orphans, jump up into that mix as well? With a decent schedule, and if they get hot and one of those other two slip up, especially when you've got Utah, their last year in the Pac-12 it's now going to be their third different conference in the last 13 years.
If Oregon State gets good, then Civil War will be very interesting.
And this is the other thing that's hilarious about all of this is that now you're going to have some more of these key like rivalry trophy games, your NC2A trophy games that are now going to be going across conference. So I mean, you've already got the Sunshine Showdown, Florida State. You've had the Colorado Civil War. Colorado State. They've actually not been in the same conference for years. Now you're going to have Apple Cup going across conferences. You're going to have the Oregon battle going across conferences. Clean old-fashioned hate has actually not been in the same conference since 1913. The Cy-Hawk Trophy has not been in the same conference for years.
Who's clean old-fashioned hate again?
Georgia Tech.
That's right. That's not a fucking rivalry game.
It's still a trophy.
In the words of Nick Fury, Ant, boot.
Agreed, but a lot of these other games, I mean, the Washington State, Oregon State, they're not much of a rivalry either.
Wazoo's won one of those games in the last 15 years.
Again, the last 15 years. Their record is about as good as the Browns against the Steelers since they came back in the league.
Can we not talk about Satan's evil child for a little bit longer?
I mean, we'll pivot to that, but you get where I'm going with this.
I do get where you're going with this.
And I had to bring it up because it's the best. I had to bring that one game up because it's the best name of any rivalry game there is.
Oh, clean old-fashioned hate? Yeah, I know. I'm going to experience that for the first time this year. And quite honestly, it's not going to change my day. Now, if Georgia Tech somehow wins that game.
And we brought it up last week. If my grandmother had balls, she'd be my grandfather.
If Georgia Tech somehow wins that game, you'll hear a lot of this.
Coming from one side, and then the other side, you're going to hear. That's going to be the sound coming out of ESPN.
Or this. We got to get Alex one of these. He looks left out.
I'm fully in. I'm engaged.
Nice.
Alex, what are you looking for
In regards to
college football?
Well, I have a cousin who's out in California, well now in Houston, but a California native and is a diehard USC fan. and he's talked to me quite a bit about this guy Caleb Williams out, at the quarterback out there, and he says that he's supposedly like a top tier talent. And granted, I don't watch much USC football, but now that he's kind of talked to me quite a bit about him and about USC as a whole, I'm kind of tuned in a little bit more to USC as a team. Not that I'm a diehard fan, not that I'm like a transplant or nothing, but it's just curious to see because I consider myself probably a little bit more of an NFL guy than a college football guy. So it's just kind of interesting to see exactly where he might land next season
Arizona.
Arizona. Okay.
Let me play a little. If anyone's played you don't know Jack. Let me play a little dis or dat here. Let's actually fast forward to, let's say it's after our trip. What's the more likely story that people are latching onto? Coach Prime getting Colorado closer to a Big 12 championship game appearance, or Caleb Williams looking very, very strong to get a second Heisman?
I'll say this again and let Alex think about it. I do not think Caleb Williams will win a Heisman for a second year in a row. Tim Tebow had a better year the year after his Heisman and didn't win. Johnny Manziel had a better year the year after his Heisman and didn't win. Lamar had a better year the year after his Heisman and didn't win. The voters don't want to take that from Archie Griffin. Relatively the most dominant back of a generation in college. The problem with Caleb Williams is he's going to go up against a guy who's now in the top echelon of talk, and two of them really. He's going to see Travis Hunter, and he's going to see Shedeur Sanders in a couple weeks. USC's weak spot is their defense. If Shedeur Sanders cuts up USC and Caleb... The YZ translators later, Joe.
No, it's a fat-fingered. I actually was reaching for the keyboard, and I accidentally hit it. My bad.
That's all right. If Shedeur Sanders cuts up USC and Caleb plays well, that will cost him the Heisman right there. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, I know that he won the Heisman last year, and I can't recall. Is there anybody within, we'll say, the past 20 years who's been a repeat Heisman winner?
There's only been one. It's Archie Griffin from Ohio State.
Okay, so then I think I would tend to lean with Mike and say that there will not be a back-to-back, Heisman Trophy winner in Caleb Williams.
I mean, if you think about it, there were dudes that should have won more than one. Tebow should have won more than one.
Right. He was the first name that came to mind, honestly.
Yeah, and Lamar should have won more than one. Yeah, I don't see it happening. I don't. You could argue Bryce Young should have won more than one. But I just don't think it's going to happen.
I think it's a little bit more likely if he balls out. Let's say he goes out and he's got USC 6-0, 7-0, something like that. I think that's going to be a little bit more of a talking point, especially if Colorado slips up along the way and kind of comes back down to earth.
I'll be honest with you. He's got to beat a good defense because he won that. Let's be honest. He won the Heisman last year because C.J. Stroud didn't beat Michigan. If C.J. Stroud would have beat Michigan, he'd have won that thing going away with the year he had. Caleb Williams played against one good defense in college, and he got beat both times. When Utah beat them twice last year. What was it, twice in 4 weeks, Jim?
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's not a great quarterback. He is. I'm not saying he's not a great player. He is. But until you, in my opinion, and again, You know what my opinion's like. You've got to play good against defenses who can ball out. That's why I didn't think Saquon was going to be any good in the pros, because in his games against teams that had multiple draft picks to the NFL and college, he was shit. Caleb Williams has played one good defense in college, and he got smoked both games. And Utah's offense wasn't anything to look at.
Yeah, but Utah has also earned that Boise State reputation as BCS busters in the last 5 years.
Yeah, and Utah's had a good program for a long time. Utah's had a good program since Urban was there.
Yeah, I mean they had some down years, especially when Chris Peterson was coming up with TCU, Gary Patterson, Chris Peterson with Boise State, Chris Patterson bringing TCU back to prominence, shortly thereafter. Utah's got something going here, and it's going to be very interesting them sliding into the Big 12 DMs in the next couple of years. Again, their third conference move in the last 12 years, 12, 13 years.
Would they go Mountain West to
Mountain West to Pac-12, and now Pac-12 to Big 12.
Oh, they're not jumping to okay. I gotta situate myself here again. My back has been killing me. I don't know if I slept wrong or what.
I've been watching way too many Mortal Kombat 1 trailers. I'm getting interesting ideas that we can actually do to help out your spine.
Shut up.
Did you see the new trailers that they dropped for that game in the last 4 days?
I saw the Van Damme one. That's hilarious.
Did you see the Megan Fox one as well?
I watched part of it, yeah.
That one's pretty good, but the Van Damme one was amazing.
Yeah, especially the section with Johnny Cage.
The fatality was hilarious.
With at the beginning when he slammed the car door on him.
Yep.
Dude, this game is crazy. Hey, Alex, can I ask you something?
What's up?
So I want to flip to baseball real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to ask you, has Tim Anderson played since Jose Ramirez knocked him out?
I don't think so. He's still recovering.
Somebody did a TikTok where they said they don't understand why Tim Anderson, they were celebrating his 1,002nd hit because his original 1,000th hit was after he hit the ground, after Ramirez hit him in the head for $9.99. I was, yeah. You just want to burn that place to the ground. And seriously, the fully loaded Fupa was hilarious too.
Correct. The comical part is that he basically squared up like he was ready to go, like he was going to be the one doing the knocking out, and just right to the jaw and just.
My first thought was Glass Joe.
Yeah. It was prophetic, just for the caliber of season that organization has that will not be named.
I love that you gave them the Voldemort treatment.
It's even more comical as well too, because I have a couple friends of mine who are season ticket holders. Why, I don't know. And it was funny because they're just like, oh yeah, my season ticket rep like reached out to me and stuff like that, was basically telling me this, that, and the other, and like ticket prices went up. I said, you're gonna pay for that shit? Like legitimately, and I said it with a straight face, like as a friend to a friend. Like, if you want to waste money, like just give it to me. Just why?
Friends don't let friends buy White Sox season tickets.
Correct. Why? But
you sound like a Browns fan.
I was just saying that. It's for all the times that people would call looking for Browns season tickets for what, 7 straight years of double-digit losses or something.
Yeah, I hope they lose 100 games this year. I hope they lose 100 games next year, and so on and so forth. And maybe in 2 years, maybe they might lose 110 or 120. Which
no, let the Mets have the 120, please.
No, I would like to take that crown. I
Uh-huh.
really would.
Well, listen, Mets lost 120 games and drew over 1 million fans.
I hope next year they get 10 fans the entire year.
Jim, do you know what just flashed through my head? Randy Quaid. There's 3 fans sitting there, and 3 with the your old Mother Hubbard, and only Vaughn's in the cupboard.
I know that entire rant.
I will. We can certainly continue the baseball conversation, but I will leave you with this. There's chatter that the team might move, and they're talk about potentially either moving someplace else in the Chicagoland area, which is not going to work out. But they're talking about moving it to Nashville. I have a write-in for them that I might just tweet at them one of these days. I hope that they look to move to Istanbul, Turkey.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Alex.
That would be the better move for everybody.
They can come out to Wooly Bully.
I don't think Sam Desham was Turkish. I mean, there's Sam Desham and the Pharaohs. Immediately, you're thinking Egyptian. So we've had another issue with baseball players putting their hands on people. Julio Urias, this one's for you.
Hit the road, Jack. Don't you come back no more, no more, no more.
They ought to deport his ass.
956 copyrights.
We've already got hit on that song.
Here comes another one from now. Let's guess the country it's going to come from.
No, this was from the U.S.
Oh,
When I played it, when we said who hung on too long during the Wisies, and I played it for Brady.
Oh man.
yeah. Why the Dodgers have not let him go? I don't care that there's video. He's a second-time offender, like I told you the other day, Mike. There's no excuse. There's no rationale for it. He should be unemployed, and yes, he should now play. If he wants to play, he could go play with Trevor Bauer in Japan.
I was just gonna say that. Damn it. I was almost gonna blog about that, and it's like, wait a minute. The last time I wrote about the Dodgers was because of Bauer. I don't want to do the same subject matter twice in a row.
You could surely do it again.
So, in other words, the Henshin Tigers are going to have a hell of a top of the rotation next year.
You're not kidding. Heavy hitters.
Yeah. No. Oh God.
And
Wait, no, Jim.
Emotional damage.
there is some regret that came out of my mouth. It was just instant reaction. I don't condone it. I don't support it. I'm not
No,
about it.
none of. First of all, there's a difference between condoning and supporting, and dealing with humor like we do.
Okay.
Because it the things it disgusts me, and that's how I deal with that kind of stuff. And you seem to be the same way, and I know he's that way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, I get it. It's just, would you get off of me? It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Outside of the stupidity of baseball, Jim asked me this last week. What do you think? What do you think of Acuna? What he's doing?
He's just on a different planet, and I think his brother is trending into that same exact direction as well too.
I know.
You said the same thing last week during the translator that his brother's going to be better.
He said his brother's going to be better.
Which, when you think about it, it's honestly scary.
Yeah. Now, obviously, for me, it's wonderful. But yeah, Jim asked me last week in the translator. He gave me Mookie Betts. We're talking about other things for the soundboard as you hear the typing.
We've got options on that one.
We do have options on that one.
That one's a possibility, but I want to actually see if I can get a clear enough clip of it that doesn't
Okay.
actually have
The laughter?
Yes.
So he asked me, he gave me Mookie Betts, and I said the 2023 National League MVP. I think Matt Olson's season is going to kill Acuna's chances.
Really?
Matt Olson's going to lead baseball in home runs. He's going to probably win a Gold Glove unless Freddie wins it. Nobody else has that. I mean, Mookie Betts does. What Mookie Betts is doing is just stupid.
The fact that you could put him in center field, right field, second base, and he just hits everywhere is not
How
real
about Freddie
either.
Freeman? How about Freddie Freeman's going to have 60 doubles
I mean,
and compete for a batting title and win a Gold Glove and drive in 100 runs and hit 30 bombs? Oh, by the way, he's got 20 steals.
you just look at him and you're just like, you don't play baseball.
He looks more like a farmer.
I would say he's like he teaches like at a college. He's a college professor.
Oh,
Yeah.
Shoo.
We both said our favorite clip of him is the spring training clip when he's mic'd up and he's on first base after getting a hit. And when Chipper was in the booth, did you ever see this one?
Oh, I did.
There's win, boys. And not only that, he's a great dude.
He's a top tier guy.
He is. And speaking of top tier guys, it's going to bring up another bad thing for you. I love what Bellinger and Dansby are doing for the Cubs this year.
Honestly, I don't watch the Cubs partially because I don't have the Marquee Network. They're on their own broadcasting channel where like you have to pay for like a subscription to watch them. But I see the highlights, and I think, in my opinion, I knew Dansby was always good. I knew what the Braves had. Even back when he was with the Diamondbacks, he was also good as well too. It's just that team constantly scuffled, and now that he's here with the Cubs, it's just a testament to the talent that he is. And then Bellinger, all he needed was a change of scenery from Los Angeles. He was just smoking too much over there. That's what it was.
It's entirely possible. I think he needed the change of scenery, not because of any extracurriculars, but if you look at dudes who came up through the Dodgers organization, got to that level, and then the minute they slip even that much, the fan base turns on them. Bobby took a 3-hour nap today because he was up so damn early. One of the things I watched was a thing about Piazza, and he is a prime example.
Yeah.
The minute he wanted to be paid as the best player at his position in the game, the fan base turned on him. Thank you. I got a Hall of Famer and a retired number.
Mm-hmm. But now the Dodgers have kind of put themselves in a category with themselves where, like, if somebody wants to get paid or if they want to bring in top tier talent, like they're going to pay.
Well, they can do that because their minor league system is so good.
Right.
I mean, if you look at, and again, I'm going to go back to the Mets because Steve Cohen has said he wants to create the Dodgers on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
The deadline sale has put them on a pretty good route to do that. The guys they got, the one kid from Houston is hitting 317 with 7 bombs. The other dude from Houston, about 295 with 5 of them. Acuna's brother is killing the baseball. I said to Jim weeks ago, I think Luis Angel Acuna is going to be the Mets opening day second baseman next year.
I mean, it wouldn't shock me at all.
But now you're talking about an infield that's going to be Pete because they're going to back up the Brinks truck now. Because he now has the 3 most prolific home run seasons in Mets history.
I meant to ask you about that because there's been some chatter online, and it could just be up hearsay, but
no, Milwaukee called about him.
Oh, did they?
And what Billy Epler said he wanted in return would have stripped the Milwaukee farm system. He said, yeah. Because I've said this before. Jim knows what I'm going to say. I'm going to say it to you. If they don't re-sign him, the fan base will fucking riot. It's kind of like Kismet, kind of like the universe telling us something. On September 29th, 2018, we said goodbye to David Wright. On opening day 2019, we said hello to Pete Alonso. It's the universe told us this is our guy.
And I mean, he definitely fits the New York mold. I think
He does. And he's a good dude.
Mhm.
They're retiring the numbers of the fucking Koch brothers next year. We need the good dudes in the organization. What I call him last week, Tony Montana and Escobar?
Something like that.
Before David Wright. The fuck? I don't care that they won a title. They snorted it. Doc missed the fucking ticker tape parade because he was in a Coke house all night.
Oh, I remember hearing the story.
It ain't a story. He came out and said it was true.
Yeah.
I went to All Amazing Night for the 40th anniversary of the franchise. Darryl Strawberry did a video from fucking prison. Let's retire the number.
And when he was in prison, he walked up to another inmate and said, "Say hello to my little friend."
He's a stand-up guy, you know.
I need to add
In the shower.
applause.
What do you need to add?
I need to add canned applause.
You have to stop the Q-tip when there's resistance.
Asshole.
We have way too much fun with this thing. So, Alex, I said something last week that Jim thinks is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say it to you.
Okay.
We're talking about the retired numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that the St. Louis Cardinals are going to have to retire number 4, only for him to be wearing it again next year. I think they're going to fire Ollie. Yeah, I think they're going to fire Ollie Marmol, and they're going to give Yachty the team.
That should have happened 25 weeks ago at this point.
Now, Jim's a Cardinal fan. You have it in your family with your dad.
Mm-hmm.
What would a Cardinal fan like your dad say to Yachty Molina being the next manager of the St. Louis Cardinals?
I think he would welcome it wholeheartedly because I think that with him at the helm as a manager, I think that all the players would buy in because he was the heartbeat of that team when he was in that locker room. So,
and my whole thing for it was he managed Puerto Rico in the World Baseball Classic this past year, which again, I'm not too happy with him about that. By the way, he's going to pitch.
He's
really? Throwing off the mound. He's throwing off the mound. He's going to pitch before the end of the season. I wish it was in a race, but
yeah.
And Stearns, the old head of the Brewers, most likely going to be the next president of baseball operations of the Mets. And there's a lot of talk he's going to bring Craig Counsell with him.
Really? Is his deal up in Milwaukee?
Yep.
Really?
So we might go from Buck to Screech.
Did you see the story about the Guardians the other day when they got absolutely annihilated when you were talking about somebody throwing?
Didn't they have like an outfielder pitch 4 innings?
Yeah, David Fry. They got beat so bad that they actually had to go out and throw 4 innings. It was the longest a position player had actually pitched in 100 years.
So the Vikings beat the Browns 20-6.
And you had a right fielder / first baseman throwing for 4 innings.
Did he give up any runs?
I think he gave up like 7 or 8 of them, including 3 home runs.
Yeah, well, guess what? You hit a home run off a position player, unless you're a pitcher, it don't count.
That's why Freddie Freeman should never win an MVP for the rest of his life because he got struck out by Rizzo.
Hold on, that was a lefty on lefty and a nasty hook. I got to side with Freddie on that one. And he was laughing too fucking hard the entire at bat. He was laughing the entire at bat.
That's my favorite Freddie Freeman highlight.
Let's talk about the end of something, Jim. and we know what I'm gonna mention. Tito's calling it quits.
Yeah, it's the writing's on the wall here, but whether they do it this year or they actually just do it next year, it's still, there's a lot of scuttlebutt that it could happen this year, but I don't know if it's going to be that sudden. He knows it's going to happen. It's just, does he maybe want to do 1 year next year where he steps back and then, because I don't know if Sandy's going to be the replacement, because Sandy's only 5 or 6 years younger than he is.
Sandy's in better health. I don't think his age is the issue. Terry's age is the issue has been the health concerns.
Is Tito walking away because of health, or are they looking to push him out the door?
Yeah, Tito's actually, he's missed a lot of time in the last 3 years with different surgeries or illnesses.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, he's a Hall of Fame coach. There's no reason for him to kind of stay in the helm of things when his health should be number one.
What, he's got 2 World Series. He's 7th on the all-time wins list. He's number 1 in the Cleveland franchise all-time wins list. I want to say he's like 2nd on the Red Sox. Yeah, he's done it all.
It's nothing to prove.
Right. He's got nothing to prove. You're right.
You put 2 stats on his Hall of Fame plaque. 1, he was the manager of the 2004 Boston Red Sox. And 2, he came the closest to ending the streak in Cleveland. The guy has, what's he got? 900 and some wins with the Guards. Nearly not about 7, 8, between 8 and 900 wins with the Red Sox.
Yeah, I want to say he's up around 1,1800, like high 17s, maybe like low 18s, maybe even approaching 19.
Because of what he did with the White Sox or not the White Sox, I'm sorry, the Phillies.
Right.
And he was Michael Jordan's minor league manager.
He was. Yeah.
So it's the end of a tough era. The health stuff. Tito's always been fun on top of being a very, very good in-game manager. What he did in 2016 with that bullpen was absolutely fucking chef's kiss, man.
But what he's doing with this year's bullpen.
What's he got to work with? Emmanuel Clase's Edwin Diaz circa 2019 impersonation?
Clase leads the league right now with 10 blown saves, and then you've also got Trevor Stephan with 7. Major league record is 14. I can't see. Is there part of me that thinks Clase could blow 3 more saves before the end of the year? This went from the best bullpen in baseball to no lead is safe.
Is he just throwing meatballs up there, or heat, and people are smacking their on, or what's the deal?
The cutter doesn't look like it's moving.
He also never bothered to develop a third pitch. It's fastball, cutter, and nothing else. He doesn't have a curveball. He doesn't have a changeup. He doesn't have a slider. Nothing.
Yeah, but when you throw the cutter at 101, you usually shouldn't need anything else. Because if it moves like it's supposed to, you figure it this way: a 4-seam fastball at 101. Major league hitter can time that up. You throw a cutter with this movement on it, no. Mariano made a career out of that, and he throws it 5 miles an hour faster than Mariano ever did. So, no, the problem is I think it's mechanical. It's either arm angle or it's grip, because his cutter's not snapping. Last year, that cutter snapped.
Is he tipping his pitches too?
Possible. I haven't seen anything. Like, I'll go back when it's a pitching question because it's still something I enjoy doing. And I'll watch YouTube videos of the guys throwing, and he doesn't look that much different from last year. He didn't blow any of the 3 games in New York. I know that. So I didn't see him when he played the Mets. But, yeah, it doesn't. This has got to be a grip issue, or it's just if he's trying to throw it too hard.
I mean, but think about that.
Velo's there.
But 17 blown saves between him and Trevor Stephan. You win half of those games, you're a game out behind the Twins right now, and you're over 500 instead of sitting 6.5 back. And this thing is basically done by the end of the week.
Jim, I know. Told you, 2019, the Mets blew 27 saves as a bullpen. They blow 17, and the world champion Nationals don't get to the postseason.
It's really an embarrassment that the Minnesota Twins are going to win that division. Just,
With Correa hitting a $190.
but I digress.
I think the Guardians' biggest problem right now is don't worry about catching the Twins. You got to get your head out of your ass to avoid getting caught by the Tigers. Because you're 6.5 back in Minnesota. You're only 2.5 up on Detroit.
Wow.
Who expected them to be this good this year?
Especially in Miggy's curtain call, you know?
Well, that's why I'm glad they are competing.
I mean, they're not going to go anywhere because they're too far back. But yeah, it's, I mean, you know, good. It's, at least they didn't lose 100 games, you know?
Yeah, no, I did not want to see them lose a 100 game in Miggy's curtain call.
Speaking of curtain call, what is up with the shit show in Washington in the last 48 hours?
Bro. Alex, did you see this?
The Strasburg stuff?
Wow.
They're not. He was going to retire. They were going to do a big press conference and then retire his number, which again, horseshit. Now the fucking Nationals won't let him retire. I sent Jim the press release from today. I will read it to you.
So I don't understand. Like, what, they're going to force him to play or what?
They're expecting to see him at spring training, considering he hasn't thrown in a year.
So, it's regrettable. It's Steven Strasburg is and always will be an important part of the Washington Nationals franchise. We support him in any decision he makes and will ensure that he receives what is due to him. It's regrettable that private discussions have been made public through anonymous sources attempting to negotiate through the media. While we have been following the process required by the collective bargaining agreement, behind-the-scenes preparations for a press conference had begun internally. However, no such event was ever confirmed by the team or promoted publicly. It's unfortunate that external leaks in the press have mischaracterized these events. It is our hope that ongoing conversations remain private out of respect for the individuals involved. Until then, we look forward to seeing Steven when we report to spring training. In other words, Scott Boras is a fucking cocksucker.
What a piece of shit.
That's Boras. That's got Boras written all over it. And I take back about the Nationals what I said. That is Scott Boras written all over it.
Wow. And
he negotiated him a giant signing bonus knowing the elbow was shot.
Mm-hmm.
Now he hasn't. How many innings has he thrown since the World Series? 30?
Oh God, probably. I was going to say sub 50.
Yeah, Keith Olbermann talked about this on his podcast earlier in the week. I want to say it's like 32 innings since. The other hilarious thing is this, since we're talking about the Nationals, even though he's not there anymore, did you see the shit that's also come down in the last couple of weeks with Anthony Rendon?
Dude,
he's played what? 35, 40 games in the majors since he was a World Series MVP 4 years ago?
No, he's played more than that.
Well, yeah, but he's also now faking that he can't speak English and throwing guys out of the locker room. Alex, you'll appreciate this. He's looking like Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah, what the fuck is his problem now?
The problem is Rendon's played 200 games out of a possible 540 since he signed with the Angels. He has not lived up to his contract, and the LA media is starting to beat him over the head about it because
it's well deserved. You're making a fat fucking check, and you're gonna do that.
And you're telling me with that extra bat in the lineup, they couldn't have gotten to the playoffs at least once? I mean, come on, you had 4 guys in a row in a lineup with the last names when they were still productive of Trout, Ohtani, Rendon, and Pujols, and you couldn't get to the playoffs.
It's an embarrassment. And aside from that, what does he have left on that massive deal?
He's got 3 or 4 more years.
I was going to say
he's spot track right now.
Maryland is only beating Charlotte 17-14.
Yep, just updated the wire. And that Texas Alabama game was getting out of hand, and now it is very close. It's now only Texas
27-24.
with about 9 minutes to go. Yep. Oregon, that Oregon Texas Tech game was very tight. Washington State and Wisconsin got very tight.
Come on, Coach Fick.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff going on right now. I did see rumblings of that Anthony Rendon thing, and I know there was stuff trickling out about Strasburg, but I didn't realize it was getting that nasty with the Nationals.
Scott Boras has done some stupid things. But this one could take the cake. I mean, we owe Scott Boras one thing, and he's the one that convinced Keith Hernandez to be on Seinfeld.
With his cotton uniforms.
Because he's Keith Hernandez. What did you just do?
I
Are you bleeding?
I cut my face earlier, and I think it just opened. That
No chair shot?
That 7-year deal was signed in 2019. So as it stands right now, he still has 4 more years. Yeah, at 34 right now. He's been on the injured list since the friggin' thing was signed. He's owed the adjusted salaries owed $23.57 million each of the next 4 years.
How much deferred money?
$80 million.
Huh. You better put that uniform in Playboy.
With a full NTC.
Do you think
Bobby who?
The full deferred is $80 million, but as I go into the breakdown, and I absolutely love Spot Track for this, upcoming deferred 27, 28, 29, and 30 is $10 million a year, but they're saying it's dead money. And then
It's dead money to the Angels.
right. And then the contract of 27, 28, 29 is a base salary of 26.6 each year with a $4 million signing bonus in 29 when he'd be 40.
ridiculous? Mike, really quickly while Jim's looking at, there's no chance that they just cut ties with him and just eat the money, right?
I think that depends on what Ohtani does. If Ohtani ends up with the Dodgers, or I don't think he's going to the Mets, especially not with the elbow injury. I don't think, as much as fun as he would be, do I like the Mets spending money? Yes. But I'm starting to like these young kids.
Aside from that, and this is not an indictment on your boys or whatever, but you've seen what happens when you go out and you get, and I'm not saying that Ohtani's old, but when you go out and you get your Verlanders and your Scherzers and your DeGroms.
Listen, I agree. Would the season have been different if JV came out and pitched the first month? Probably. Because he wasn't pitching bad.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said before, Scherzer disappeared when they needed him the most.
Mm-hmm.
Disappeared.
But I mean, the mix of talent you have right now and the young guys coming up, that I think right there is going to be.
I think that's going to be better.
That's the key.
Because if all you re-sign Alonso, your core with McNeil and Nimmo and Lindor and Alonso and Edwin Diaz. I can't believe I'm saying Edwin Diaz, Alex.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby still dances to Narco all the time.
But then to that point, then you got what's your catcher's name? Alvarez, right?
Got Francisco Alvarez. You have Brett Beatty. You have Ronnie Mauricio, who's finally up. You have Vientos, which means no more Vogelback. And
potentially Acuna.
And Acuna. They have Mike Vassell, who is a young pitcher in AA or in AAA right now. Who is Jim? Some of the comparisons of him are Gavin Williams.
Interesting, considering even though Gavin Williams can't win lately, but then again,
he doesn't throw it. He doesn't throw as hard.
The Strasburg
pitcher.
to interrupt for a moment, the Strasburg issue is far worse than we actually thought because he had the I'm trying to remember the exact name of it. It's thoracic outlet syndrome, where basically
It's what killed Matt Harvey's career.
Yeah. So it's basically he's essentially done. He had surgery this time last year where he had a rib and 2 neck muscles removed in order to address and relieve the pressure on the nerves in the arm.
Jesus.
That's what Harvey had when he came back from Tommy John in 15, and they have that incredible run through the World Series.
And remember, Strasburg also had Tommy John earlier in his career.
Yeah, Strasburg had Tommy John, I want to say 2011. Because it was 2013 when him and Harvey went toe-to-toe at Citi Field and the Met fans were chanting Harvey's better. And then 19, they go to the World Series, and he hasn't been the same since. That thoracic outlet syndrome is nothing to mess with. Harvey was throwing 98 before it. He was throwing 93 after.
Yeah, that's one of the things that they've actually they were also noticing about, like Ohtani, his velocity wasn't there leading up to the injury, and then since he's already had TJ once, nobody's ever come back from doing it twice. So I mean, if he does,
they have. Smoltz had it twice. Oh no, Smoltz was. Smoltz was the first pitcher with Tommy John to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Somebody else had it twice and came back. Who the hell was it?
I was listening to Olbermann podcast on a couple of weeks ago, and he did an entire thing about the Ohtani thing. Nobody has ever come back and pitched in the majors again. They may have actually pitched in the minors, but no pitcher has ever had 2 TJs and pitched at the major league level again.
We'll see with DeGrom. Because they're not going to let him get out of that contract. And that contract's not insured.
It might be something that they might actually have to, like, both sides might. I don't want to say it's a full buyout, but we could be looking at some sort of deferred settlement or eating some of it or voiding some years off the end of it.
Here's my question. And Alex, I'll start with you. Would you make him a closer? If you're coming back from Tommy John and you don't have to heat it up for 6-7 innings that way, and you got to do it once for 1 inning, 2-3 days a week, would you take that gamble with him?
You're talking about Ohtani?
Both him and DeGrom.
I would say so. Less risk, less strain. You're, like you said, you're warming up towards the back end of the game. Like, you're probably not throwing ideally more than 30 pitches a game, and you're probably throwing maybe most guys go back to back, maybe 3 in a row if the games are tight, closers, right?
And depending on 1, the makeup of the rest of your bullpen, and 2, who you're playing.
True. So yeah, I think that's a safer option. Although I'm much more hesitant in terms of the whole Ohtani thing, especially considering that he's still going to fetch the $500,000, if not more. I think whoever he goes to, if he doesn't stay with the Angels, which is very unlikely, I think you got to really be like, listen, my friend, I would rather keep you upright and healthy and just hit and hit and hit and hit and just leave the pitching behind and see what he says.
The only good thing about him hitting with this injury is he hits left-handed.
Right.
And there's not as much torque on the bottom hand and elbow as there is on the top hand with a baseball swing.
Correct. So, because if they went in there and did that procedure, because look at Bryce Harper, how quick he recovered from TJ also being a lefty as well.
Yeah, but he wasn't right for the first couple of months. He came back too fast.
Yeah, but that's also part of the reason why they stuck him at DH, where he's only got a hit as opposed to have him play first base for a few more months.
True.
Yeah, and they've got their own. The Phillies did. What Ohtani does depends on what Philadelphia does this offseason, because there's a lot of rumblings that they are going to try and get Mike Trout home.
Really, they're gonna eat that contract?
I tell you what, I don't think the Phillies have it in their farm system. Aaron Nola, I don't think is going to stay in Philadelphia. He's a free agent. Their bullpen is still in shambles. And on top of that, you're going to have to give up somebody big to get Mike Trout. And that somebody big is going to end up being either Bryson Stott Alec Boehm or Reese Hoskins
Hoskins is also coming back from ACL, right?
from ACL. So one of your big chips you can't use.
Hmm.
You're going to lose Boehm, you're going to lose Stott, and you're going to lose something else. And you're going to lose a chip in the minor leagues. And if you don't have the money because you're taking on Trout, you're going to lose Aaron Nola.
That's I envision him going east at least, if not home, prior to him signing that deal. What, 2 years ago now, or a year ago?
More than that.
Was it more than that? Okay.
What year was it 19 that Machado and Harper signed late?
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
Yeah, so it was 4 years ago. Listen, first of all, Trout and Philly would be evil. First of all. Yeah, we're going to hit you second behind Trey Turner.
Or you want to bet leadoff?
No, you don't, but not with Trey Turner's wheels. Did you guys see the funny stat about Trey Turner came out the other day?
I did.
Jim, did you see it?
I did
Bravo
not.
for him. Bravo.
Exactly. On December 5th, 2022, Trey Turner signed a $300 million contract with the Philadelphia Phillies. On September 5th, 2023, exactly 9 months to the day later, he was put on paternity leave.
What he did was he signed the contract and he put in some work. That's what he did.
Right?
Good for him.
Damn it, I can't believe I didn't play that one yet.
I thought that when I saw that, I was like, man, Trey, get you some. That's like Buddy Harrelson when he was coaching for the Mets. Dykstra hits the walk-off home run in Game 3 of the NLCS against Houston. 9 months later, he's got a kid.
Funny, you actually should play that soundbite. It's what was he doing? Breeding chocobos?
Who's got the iPhone?
You big dummy.
I was just going to do that. So last but not least on the baseball side, how long before Acuna charges the mound? Because he got drilled again tonight.
I would say real soon. I don't know how he hasn't exploded yet.
Alonso, same way.
Down goes Anderson. Down goes Anderson.
Have you heard the Tom Hamilton call of that, Alex?
I did see that.
Fucking priceless.
It's fantastic.
I'll tell you what, Mike, the Matt Underwood and
Rick Manning?
Rick Manning call was pretty good too.
Yeah, no one's
Valley
happy.
Sports broadcast. Tom Hamilton was much better, but the Underwood and Arch call was pretty good.
Oh. Yeah, no one's hammy. All right. I suppose we should probably get to the NFL since it starts in full force tomorrow. You can tell I'm excited, right?
You're just holding it back. That's what you're doing.
Just fucking can't, dude. So let's start with Thursday night. And could you tell Travis Kelce was hurt?
Yeah, man.
First of all, sidebar on that. They finally got Jason's wife on New Heights.
I have not
Maybe
seen it, but it's cute.
the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen.
I don't know. The rookie joke was up there.
Alex, did you hear the rookie joke?
What rookie joke?
I'm
right,
going to YouTube.
I'll tell it.
No, because it's funnier when Kelce does it. Because you can see the laughter as it starts spiraling out of control. Go ahead. Talk amongst yourselves. This will take me a minute.
Emotional damage.
I'm hurt by that, Jim. I told it at work. They thought it was hilarious. But then again, with me,
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
Okay, I have it.
we got to start marking down when we do that one too. Did Tua's brother throw another pick?
And we had a fullback who did the best joke I had ever heard when Doug Peterson was the coach. He gets up there in the middle of a team meeting, and he's like, all right, there's these three guys, and they're sitting around a table. The first guy comes up thinking to himself, he's, you know what? I'm pretty fast. I think I'm so fast. I think I'm the fastest man in the world. So he goes out, they time him in the 40-yard dash, and he sends his time in to the Guinness Book of World Records. Second guy says, you know what? I'm tall. I'm so tall. I think I'm the tallest man in the world. So they get the measuring tape up, they measure him, they take a picture, and they send it off to the Guinness Book of World Records. The third guy says, you know what? I got a small It's so small, I think it might be the smallest in the world. They take out a ruler, measure it, take a picture, send it off to the Guinness Book of World Records. They're sitting around a few weeks later, and the results come back. The first guy opens the letter. He's excited. I did it! I'm the fastest man in the world. Second guy rips open the letter. I did it! I'm the tallest man in the world! Third guy, getting excited, opens his letter, and he says, who the is Doug Peterson?
That's beautiful.
That's perfect. That is great.
The thing is you can tell that joke and insert anybody that you want in.
We need to find out the name of the quarterback for Georgia. Because we'll tell it in Jacksonville.
You're my ride home. Remember that.
I don't think it'll hurt that bad. We just tell Florida fans.
I don't want to have to explain to Steph why you came home, missing limbs or,
Now, if we're in Jacksonville, I'll just get a gold tooth. I'll fit in.
I was going to say there's like some sort of like screech thing here, like ending up like naked on a bus or something.
No.
This is you in enemy territory with a live mic.
And if I was in Ann Arbor, I'd insert Jim Harbaugh.
We are gathered here today to mourn the loss of a very dear, dear friend.
My favorite story about that game, about an Ohio State fan walking into that stadium, never getting any flack, was the 2 times Joe Laurinaitis walked in there.
He was fucking animal. You don't mess with him.
This is what I'm talking about.
I love you to death, buddy. You're not animal.
No shit.
You didn't walk up to Vince McMahon and go, "We're not going for the finish." Alex, you know that story.
No, I'd walk up to Vince and go, how's Ava?
Do it.
I'm going to hell. Anyway, so let's talk about the NFL. So obviously the Chiefs fall to 0-1 thanks to an injury to Travis Kelce and Hardman not understanding that you catch the fucking ball.
And you know what Mahomes was thinking as he was running by? Great.
What?
Muggly.
That's great, but who are the chefs? So not for nothing, let's talk about Detroit's defense. They just held the champs to 20 points. Are you worried, Alex?
If I were a Chiefs fan, I definitely would be, because without Kelce out there, even as a decoy, that offense is in trouble. They were split. I wouldn't say Mahomes was running for his life, but the Detroit defense, especially their line, was on him. And then those receivers could not get any space.
And that's where I'm going with that. I want more to talk about the Detroit defense, because that defense looked amazing. And I don't think you're going to face a much better offense.
To borrow the line from the old Jay Giles song, it's the Detroit Demolition.
Yeah, I can see
Hutchinson's
a dog.
Yeah.
I don't like saying it, but Aiden Hutchins is a dog.
I am a fan of Jack Campbell. I didn't really know much about him,
Dude.
but man, he's
Do you remember how we clowned that pick on fucking draft night?
when I seen exactly who it was and I looked him up and I was like, oh, Iowa guy. But then I was kind of sitting there scratching my head and I'm just like, wait, why did the Lions take this guy? And then after that, I put the puzzles together. It was like, oh,
Dan Campbell likes a good defense.
statement rescinded.
Exactly. Speaking of NFL type talent, it's final in Tuscaloosa. Texas 34, Bama 24.
Whoa.
Yep.
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to mean it from the bottom of my heart. Bama is going to lose 3 games. And Saban will still say they should make the playoff because they're in the fucking SEC. Look what happens when Bama plays a good team. Go back in the history books.
Good for Sark.
Very good for Sark.
Yeah.
Listen, not for nothing. He transferred from Columbus, but good for Quinn Ewers too.
And I was never a big Texas fan.
Me neither.
Because there was always something about Mac Brown that just rubbed me the incredibly wrong way. And
He won with Colt McCoy.
Yeah, but then we drafted Cole McCoy, so it's like it wasn't all bad.
That's what rubbed me the wrong way. He won with fucking Colt McCoy.
But there was just something about Mac Brown that I could not stand. But it's like Texas is almost likable now.
Texas is likable now because they got humbled. They won that championship with Vince Young, which, by the way, was not the greatest championship game of all time. Sorry.
Exactly, and that was the other.
It was not.
I thought Vince Young might have been the most overhyped quarterback of the last 25 years.
Yeah, and not for nothing. For anybody who watches this and says that was the greatest championship game, you didn't watch the one a few years earlier when an off-the-board underdog took a team with 15 NFL starters to double overtime and beat them.
I thought the greatest championship game was the one where Ted Ginn sprained his ankle on the.
Ted Ginn did not sprain his ankle on the thing. Roy Hall, the Brush alum, jumped on it and broke the fucking thing. There are people from his class, which was my sister's class, who still do not speak to him for that very reason. It's been 17 years.
Two things I never liked: Ohio State and Brush.
And I happen to like them both. So Jim didn't like where he went to school, and that season where they thought they were going to beat Florida by 3 touchdowns, he started hating the Buckeyes. And it wasn't the team, it was the fans. And again, there are some, do you see Herbstreit took shots at the fan base?
Good.
He called them fucking psychotic.
Ohio State fans?
Yes.
Alex, we're going to bring him up here because I wanted to get your take on it here in a couple of moments. But to quote a Chicago native, tell me when I'm telling lies.
Yeah, we did 20 minutes on Punk last week.
We'll pump the brakes. I want to get your opinion on him after we finish this section.
Yeah, I got some comments.
Oh boy, here we go.
My brother had Collision tonight downtown at the world's most famous arena,
Romo Fijo. So let's talk about the games coming up. We got the Battle of Ohio tomorrow with now the newly minted highest paid player in NFL history, in Joe Shiesty,
Joey Moneybags.
Joey Moneybags.
Or as I like to call him, Joe Lewinsky, just because every time he's celebrating something, he's got a cigar.
That is fucking beautiful.
Alex, sometimes I just do that to annoy Mike because I actually made it a point last week to play it as loud as I could, knowing he's got the earbuds in.
Oh, shit.
So I'm going to go out on a limb and say this. I think Joe Burrow breaks the curse.
34-20 Bengals.
Yeah, Joe Burrow, I don't think he's beaten the Browns yet.
1-4.
1-4. Oh, that's right. He never beat Baker, but he beat Deshaun.
Yep.
Oh, that's right. No.
Because remember, his first game, he broke his pinky, and they had to go to Jeff Driscoll, and Cincinnati almost came back and won that game.
Oh, that was the
That was his first NFL start.
that was his second start. First start, he almost beat the Rams in his first start?
Might have been in relief.
No, he started from the jump. Whoever it was week one, they did win that game week one. And then the Browns, that was Baker threw that dime to Odell. That was a Thursday night game. No,
that was a Sunday afternoon game because it was because he threw that dime. That was when Baker had the dust up on the sideline with Odell, where they were seeing the lead fall away, and then he hits Odell with the dime at the end to win it.
Okay, that's right.
To go.
That's right. So anyways, I think Burrow beats the Browns tomorrow. As I've told Jim, taking a step back, and I can do that with my teams, and I can be very objective. As good as the Browns roster is, and it's good, they have holes, and they have holes that are in serious spots. For instance, their linebacking core, pencil thin. Their secondary, injury prone. Their wide receiver room, pencil thin. Or paper thin. Why did I say pencil thin?
Mechanical pencil thin.
Okay, there we go. Who your Bears got tomorrow?
Green Bay.
Beat the fuck out of them.
The Bears are a 1-point favorite at home, and the over-under is 41.5.
Take the over.
I'm going to go under. I think it'll be a low-scoring affair. But, I think your Bears trying to still find their offense after a lot of turnover, and especially Green Bay. I don't think Green Bay is going to go out and do a whole lot.
Jim, I would say after Alex, we get your opinion on this game. Run it down. Let's do picks.
Okay.
No, let's go to Alex first about this one because I want to hear the Bears fan what he's got to say.
I was just going to ask, do you want me to do all games or just certain ones?
Pick your 10 favorites.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Alex. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Just quick perspective. I think, like I told you, walking into this, I'm cautiously optimistic. I feel positive because I think the overhaul that they've made, granted, there are holes just like with your guys in the Browns. But I think the fact that they kind of somewhat have turned over a new leaf and finally given the keys to Fields, who I'm hoping that he takes that next step to kind of being that elite quarterback that I feel he is. You brought in DJ Moore from Carolina. My head says that they win in a close one, and I think you're right, Jim. I think it's under 41, or we said 41 and a half.
Yeah.
I think it's under as well, too. It's much closer. But I'm going in with the mentality that they will win, especially considering that first time in a long time, no Rodgers. And then you're also without Christian Watson, their top receiver. So
I only said the over because it's the first time without Rodgers. Their top receiver is out. And I'm not and never was very high on Jordan Love. I think he's going to turn the ball over. I think your guys' defense is going to be okay.
I just don't know what to expect from him. That's where my head's at. If he comes out and he's the next, if he looks from Favre to Rodgers to now Love, like the Packers are just the luckiest damn team on the face of the earth.
I do have to say the weather for this game tomorrow is supposed to be 79 and mostly sunny. So there's a possibility this could be a track meet.
Yeah, but who's actually running? Just DJ Moore and Justin Fields. So the Packers have gone from boss hog to.
No, I'm not saying it's going to be high scoring, but I think it's going to be a track meet. I think you're going to see a lot of back and forth. But this could actually, for all we know, this could turn into a friggin' field goal kicking contest.
So the Packers quarterback wise have gone from boss hog to Spicoli to this kid.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, I don't know if they're keeping something under wraps, and he's watched all the tape possible on Brett Favre and ayahuasca Aaron Rodgers.
Ayahuasca Rodgers.
Yeah. So he might be the incumbent and just like go out there and light it up, and everybody's, all the Bears fans across the country and here in Chicago are just going to be with their mouths like just, yeah.
Jim, if I can pick the next one, can we go to the, speaking of Captain Ayahuasca, can we go to that one?
That would
that game.
Bills Jets.
in the Meadowlands, East Rutherford, MetLife Stadium, forecast 76 degrees and clear. I almost said the Sabres. The Bills favored by 2.5, over under 45.5.
Take the Jets and take the under. As much as I'm not trying to piss off my co-host, I'm not. This is going to be the year Josh Allen takes a big step back, in my opinion. He's been teetering, Jim, and you know that. We've talked about it. But he could go this way, and they could ascend and get better, or he could go this way. I got a feeling with now that he is not the clear-cut best quarterback in that division anymore. If I had to pick a division winner right now, but we're not going to do this in the middle of the year, I think you know which way I'm leaning. I like the Jets tomorrow. I like the Jets to obviously cover. They're going to win the game. And I don't think it goes over. I think both defenses are too good for that to go over that number. But I like the Jets because, again, Buffalo does not have an answer for Garrett Wilson.
Do you, in your opinion, Mike, do you think Rodgers shines Monday night?
With Dalvin Cook? Yeah, I do.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the weapons are certainly there for the Jets. So it's not going to all rely on Rodgers to kind of,
And if Sauce locks down Diggs,
which I think he will. I mean, Sauce is next level too.
Is it anything crazy that I'm thinking that Revis goes into the Hall of Fame and then the Jets get Sauce?
It's prophetic, basically.
Yeah. Jim, I know you're the Bills guy, and I know you're looking at me like I got 6 fucking heads. But what do you think?
I think you guys are adorable living in this little fantasy world. Josh Allen doesn't have to be as great as he was in the last few years because Josh Allen actually has a bona fide number one running back in James Cook for the first time in his career. Josh Allen's going to be able to Josh Allen's not going to need to force the ball. Sauce Williams is not going to be able to contain Stephon Diggs as the second best receiver in all of football. Sauce Williams is very much like a Denzel Ward. He is a good stopper, but he is not a shutdown cornerback. Stephon Diggs is going to get his. It's just all a matter of limiting him to where he actually doesn't do a ton of damage. But he's still got Dawson Knox. He's got the kid that they drafted. He's still got Gabe Davis. He's got Cook. Buffalo's defense did not get any worse. Micah Hyde is back. They've got basically Buffalo didn't change anything and added, even though they drafted him last year, they've now actually got their number one running back that they've never had before. Aaron Rodgers is also 39 fucking years old. And he's going to be playing in the division with three of the may not be the best, but three of the biggest smash mouth defenses in all of football.
Please tell me you did not compare Jalen Ramsey and Sauce Gardner in the same fucking sentence.
I didn't. No, I'm not comparing them, but I'm actually saying that Miami's got a good defense. Miami is a very fast defense.
And with a quarterback with a kiwi fruit head.
I'm not saying that the Jets are going to win 13, 14 games this year. I still think it is the Bills division to lose.
I think it's the Bills division to lose too.
But I also think it is going to be closer than people think. They are not going to win. They're not going to run and hide like they did last year. Although Miami made it a little bit interesting towards the end, but this is still a team that's won the division the last several years. Got a bit, and quite honestly, if the DeMar Hamlin stuff doesn't happen, Buffalo doesn't get out of that mindset late in the year, and for all we know, Buffalo could have actually gotten their revenge on Kansas City in the playoffs.
You're right, but I will say this. Yes, Aaron Rodgers is 39. He's never had this around him. Never. He doesn't have to do as much. He doesn't have to be the reason this team wins for the first time in his career.
Chandelier in a haunted house.
You big dummy.
I listen.
It's like having a 4.0 GPA and being in the remedial class.
Yes, the remedial class was the Packers.
In this case, the Jets are the ones with the 4.0 GPA, and now they've actually got the 39-year-old quarterback who's all busted up. And the last time we saw him, he was basically crying walking off the field after he got the shit kicked out of him on national television in a game that he needed to have.
With nothing around him.
And against a Detroit team that had half of their starters basically hurt.
With nothing around him.
Regardless.
Listen, I love nothing more than watching Aaron Rodgers lose, so I genuinely do. I don't care where he is. He could play with a team in Canada. I would want him to lose. It doesn't matter. I've had too much pain, and I'm removing myself, and I'll take off the hat. Removing myself, I cannot stand him as a person. I cannot stand him as a player. I want him to lose. The fact that he went to the Jets, perfect. Do your thing. You go deal with the New York media. But I just want him to lose. That's it.
You sound like me with Brady.
I just realized something here. With the triumvirate, the triple threat of the wise guys here, the guy in the upper left-hand corner is the only one who doesn't actually have to deal with him in a division. You had him for 18 years, and now he's in my division.
And look, I'm just saying it from my perspective. I know what he is and what he brings to the table. I'd say that he's a talent because he kicked the shit out of my team left and right and right and left. But I will say this, that I like Josh Allen and I want him to succeed, and I've picked him in years past, and I didn't get him this year in my fantasy team, but I want him to do well, and I think that he deserves to be in that category with your Burrows and so on and so forth. So I hope that he takes that next step. But being that this first game is in New York and stuff like that, and just all the dynamics of it, I think the Jets get this one. But I could be dead ass wrong.
Dis or dat number 2. Aaron Rodgers, virus or rash? Is he something that makes you physically ill that you need to get rid of? Or is he something that the more you try and scratch and get rid of it, the worse it comes back?
Can it be a 2-for-1? Yeah, both.
A viral rash?
Yes.
I got to go old school. The earbuds are dying.
I can't repeat what I'm thinking.
Well, we have a chat box for a reason, Jim.
There was a certain Biz Markie song that everyone remembers, and there was a parody song that a local Cleveland station did when I was growing up, and I still remember everything.
Baby, you got the disease?
Uh-huh. And you say it's just a rash.
Sorry, had to go old school.
So I guess I did say it.
I like the earbuds better, but they were dying, and that would have been bad. I cannot have the loudness get to the kid upstairs who, again, 4:45.
Oh, I thought you were giving me a timestamp to write.
Well, that too. What's the next one on the hopper, Jim?
4:25 on CBS tomorrow might honestly be the best game of the day tomorrow on paper. The Miami Dolphins travel to SoFi Stadium to take on the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers favored by 3, over under 51.
Take the under because Joey Bosa is going to light two up. Because Miami's defense may be fast, their offensive line is a fucking sieve.
I agree. I think this is going to be the track meet game of the day.
It'll be the track meet game of the day, but the problem is it's not going to include Miami's starting quarterback for long. He takes one big shot, Jim. You and I both know his season's over, and probably his career.
Yeah, same thing about a certain Cleveland cornerback that we're going to talk about when we get to that game here in a few minutes.
Yeah, we'll get when we get to that game. We'll talk about him. But Alex, I want to ask you this question: if the unfortunate happens, and I don't want to see anybody get hurt. I'm not saying that. We all know I haven't liked Tua at all. Every time he plays somebody good, he folds like a really, really cheap 10. Could Miami tank the season if he goes down, Alex? Let me never say could. Should they tank the season if he goes down?
I don't think so. There's too much talent outside of Tua.
Who's his backup? It's not Fitzmagic anymore.
Well, that's Dolphins.
Mike White and third string Skylar Thompson.
Tank. Mike
Wait,
White.
Mike White, who played for the Jets last year?
Yep. One in the same.
Jeez.
Yeah, I certainly don't want him to get hurt, but he definitely is a liability. And in my personal opinion, and I'm not a medical expert by any stretch of the imagination, the amount of concussions that he's had and the trauma that he's had to his body, I would have walked away from the game immediately.
Especially that scary one at the end of last year. That was just not cool.
No, that was bad.
So I like the Chargers here, especially with Ramsey hurt. Herbert coming off his new deal as well. Has good weapons. I wouldn't have paid him that much either.
The game could go whichever way. I don't really have a horse in the race. I have lost a lot of faith in Justin Herbert. I don't know why.
There's plenty of reason why.
I've lost some faith. I haven't fallen off as much as you, Alex. I think he's certainly in the top maybe 7 or 8 in there. It's I'm not going to put him top 5 like some other guys, but I think he's got all the capabilities to get himself into that top 5 echelon. I do think he was overpaid. But I also, for the next crop of quarterbacks that kind of came that we're seeing now, the Mahomes, the Allens, et cetera here, Mahomes has already established himself as a bona fide Hall of Famer. Josh is knocking on the door. Herbert, I think, actually has a lot of upside that actually had a lot of things kind of fall to the wayside that prevented him from getting over that hump. If he could put together a good, solid season, I could see a scenario. I don't think they're going to challenge KC, but they would definitely be in the playoffs, and they're going to give the Chiefs a run for their money. I think they're the second best team in that division.
If they lean on their defense, they are. I 100% agree, but it won't be because of the quarterback. It'll be because of their defense.
Right.
And this is not an indictment entirely on him. I know that offense was significantly depleted, and then that line was not any type of protection for him, so he was running for his life quite a bit at a time. So it's not all on him, but I'm going to need to see some significant leap in his ability to kind of put him back in that category with your Burrow, Allen, Mahomes kind of conversation.
No, I'm with you. I do think the Chargers win this game, though. Alex, what do you think?
I think so too.
Jim?
I got them outright.
Okay. Pick another one.
1 p.m. on Fox. The San Francisco 49ers travel to Three Rivers to play the Sister Kissers whose women graze on the field.
They're playing Alabama?
Close, the Alabama of the Midwest.
They're playing West Virginia?
Pretty much.
I know.
Niners favored by 2.5, over under 41.5.
Another Bosa brother going to hurt a quarterback.
This one has a lot of ability to be interesting with San Francisco's defense and Kenny Pickett. There's a lot of people saying that Kenny Pickett could turn a corner this year. And this is going to be I don't want to say it's a make or break in his career, but I think a lot of Pittsburgh's success right now hinges on whether he progresses or regresses.
I agree with you, but I will say this. This game is going to come down to which defense can pressure the quarterback more. I would give that edge to the 49ers with Nick Bosa coming off the edge as he does. But the thing is, this is also going to be the first game in a long time TJ Watt's healthy.
I was just thinking that because it's on a Watt, when he came back last year, he was probably the best defensive player in football after he recovered.
He's doing a very good impression of his brother in recent years. His brother in his prime, obviously. Alex, I'm going to say,
minus the amazing commercials.
Very true. Or catching touchdowns. Alex, I'm going to do my picking and flip this to you with a question. I think San Francisco gets it done because Brock Purdy just doesn't turn the ball over. And that's what somebody's going to need to make a turnover here, get a turnover in this game to get it won. With Nick Bosa just coming back, really not participating in camp till he got his deal, could he be gassed early, or do you think he's been ready to rock just because he wants to make his money?
I think they might use him not sparingly, but just so to kind of get him reacclimated.
Situationally.
Yeah, I think so, because I think that the San Francisco defense is much more stout, and there's a lot of other components that will play a significant factor. I think San Francisco outright, but I think you ease Bosa back into this rather than gassing him now or potentially risking, I hate to say it, an early injury and then losing him for another period of time.
No, I agree. Jim, now
I don't think you have to rush him back because Pittsburgh's offensive line is not very good.
No, it's not. So, and I know, Jim, you like Kenny Pickett from his days at Pitt. Let me ask you this on the other end. Can they load up in the box and stop Najee Harris and make him beat them and still win and feel pretty confident winning this game? San Francisco, that is?
I do. I think I could see a scenario where the Niners are putting 7-8 in the box. I don't want to say I don't think 9 because even though Pickett was not the most accurate and turned the ball over a lot, he gets the ball out very quick.
And Pickens is nasty.
Yeah, and I mean Pittsburgh. This is not the Steelers that had Juju and Chase. You're not going to actually see Hines Ward walking through the door or Heath Miller. But it's like, Pittsburgh does get some good separation with their receivers. Just they're not the best at catching the ball a lot of the times. But it's something that they have the ability to run themselves open. It's just all a matter if is Pickett going to be able to stay up long enough to be able to get the ball out for them to do that?
I don't know, and that's going to be the big thing, especially if they can create pass rush without Nick Bosa there.
Is it going to be – I got a feeling that this could be very much the Steelers this year, at least until they get their sea legs underneath them. Could the Steelers now be how the Browns were last year under Jacoby, is that the focal point of the offense was the running back, and then you were just hopeful that the quarterback could manage the game a little bit. The only problem is that Jacoby was just trying to get you through until Deshaun got back, but Kenny is the guy there.
If their O-line holds up and can block for Najee, yes. If their O-line is Swiss cheese, no. Alex, what about you? What do you think is the biggest point of this game?
I think it's pressure on the quarterback because you got two young quarterbacks, Pickett and Purdy. Like you said, Pickett's still kind of unproven. Purdy, has some experience as well and does a good job of not turning the ball over. But it's going to really rely on Watt and Bosa and how they impact the game. I think they're the two, big dogs on each side. So they're really going to be the ones who lay the foundation, whether it's a little bit from Bosa and if it's a lot of Watt or, a mix of both. I think that the defense is ultimately going to be the one that talks in this game.
A few more, gentlemen, here. 1 p.m. on Fox from Lucas Oil Stadium, the defending AFC South champion Jacksonville Jaguars against the Indianapolis Colts with rookie quarterback Anthony Richardson. Jacksonville favored by 4.5, over under 46.
Jacksonville all day and take the points.
Do you know how you spoke of Aaron Rodgers several minutes ago?
That's how you feel about Trevor
Fuck
Lawrence?
sunshine. How about that?
That's fair.
Yeah. Oh no, I still think Jacksonville's going to win. Just fuck sunshine. It's kind of like Jack. It's like Jack Eichel with Jim.
Okay.
Hockey season's not for a few more weeks. You had to bring him up, ruining my mood before training camp, didn't you? His training camp opens this week.
Dick. No, I
should not have sent that one to you. That should have been my own little private button.
The Jaguars are going to win the South again, so I got them here too.
I think they win this one going away. The game and the division. I mean, I know we're not doing predictions, but
no, I got you.
I think that was an easy one right there, honestly.
I think Richardson will play well, but I don't think they're going to win.
Yeah.
Couple more here. 4:25 on CBS from Empower Field at Mile High. Possibly the most interesting game of the day. The Oakland, what the fuck? The Las Vegas Raiders traveling to the new look and new coached Denver Broncos. Broncos favored by 3.5, over under 43.
Raiders. Russ is cooked.
I strongly dislike Russell Wilson and his political baby kissing ass.
Alex is fired up.
So I hope it's the Las Vegas Raiders.
Oh, boy.
There is something about me, however, that feels new coach, Wilson bouncing back, Raiders in flux a little bit. Who's Oakland? God damn it, it's twice. If I can quote Top Gun, I want some butts.
I was going to say it's next, right?
Who's the Raiders quarterback?
Garoppolo.
Okay, big contract.
Jimmy G.
Big contract for Jimmy G. Hasn't played a full season in quite a while. There's something about me that feels Denver here. And there's also something about me that's taking the over.
You think it's going to be a shootout?
I think Peyton is going to try and play fast and loose with this team. I mean, yes, Russell Wilson is not what we think it is, but 43 is not that much. That's a 22-21 game.
Okay, I can see the over then.
I mean, I like the over and I like Denver outright, only given 3.5 anyway. I think this might even be. I think this could be a 2-score game.
I'll be shocked. I'll be legitimately shocked. What's next, Maestro?
Oh, I'm looking for a good one here. Let me get this one out first before we actually start going into the breakdown. 1 p.m. on Fox from FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland. The Arizona Cardinals travel to the Washington Commanders. Commanders favored by 7. Over-under is a league low 38. I am dubbing this the prison inmate game of the week. This is that the inmates don't even want to watch and beg to go back to their cells.
I mean, it's Sam Howell against Josh Dobbs.
This is bowl and shoe ugly, to quote Jim Ross.
I'll just say it right now. This game's going to end in a tie. 3-3.
Oh my God.
2-2.
Sure, it's 2 safeties. Why not?
Muffed punts over the heads of the punters.
Why not? Might as well.
Oh my God.
We're not even going to pick this one. I just want to throw it out there.
Hey Jim, I found another sound.
Not bad. It almost kind of reminded me of the Super Mario coin sound for a second.
That's what I thought it was when I did it. I won't put that one on there.
Last one, actually, well, 2 more here. I just lost it. Where'd it go? My mouse is being a bitch here. 1 p.m. on CBS from U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. The Baker Mayfield-led Tampa Bay Buccaneers travel to the Metrodome, the new Metrodome, to face the Minnesota Vikings, the reigning NFC North champions, who who have a history now of bowing out of the playoffs way too early.
Alex, I'm going to do you a solid here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Vikings favored by 5, over under 46.
I like Baker. And Mike Evans is playing with a chip on his shoulder.
Let it be a division loss. That's fine.
Yeah, I like Tampa here, especially with the Mike Evans thing. Not for nothing, this is the first time Baker will have a legitimate number 1 at the wideout position. No disrespect to Jarvis Landry, but Jarvis is and there's nothing wrong with this. He's a slot receiver, possession receiver. He's a safety blanket. Mike Evans is take the top off of defense. Hopefully he doesn't cut routes short like Anthony Schwartz does and gets Baker hurt. So I like Tampa here.
Outright or to cover?
Outright.
Oh,
and
you like upset here.
Yeah, I like upset here for one reason only. Kirk Cousins no longer has his safety blanket.
It's now Alexander Madison.
Yeah, he's in his old safety blankets in with gangrene now.
I like Minnesota here, but I don't think it's going to be as I don't see Tampa covering, but I don't see this being a 2-3 score game like some people are already predicting it to be.
You say by a touchdown then?
I don't think it's I'm thinking maybe 10 or less.
No, I think Tampa wins outright.
Thinking mid 2 score.
Minnesota's defense is not nearly as good as it was last year, just from the age factor and the fact you saw what Danny Dimes did to him in the playoffs. So, yeah, I got Baker here.
I would like to see Baker succeed because we're all Baker boys, but it's an NFL record starting for 4 teams within a 24-month span. I mean, just bouncing. He's quickly turning into like a Colt McCoy here.
Well, that's because 2 teams did him dirty.
I'm not going to argue that point, but I mean, at least the benefit for him is now he's going to be able to play in warm climate and be able to kind of run around and do what he wanted to. When that first year where he set all those records here in Cleveland, but he's going into possibly the loudest stadium in football opening week against a team that probably runs faster than his team does. I mean, Minnesota's defense is not that great, but Minnesota is the fastest team in football. I just don't see where he's going to be able to spark a team or spark that many drives to be able to play catch up going back and forth.
Do they have someone who can cover Mike Evans?
I haven't checked Minnesota's roster deep enough, so I can't really answer that question.
I don't think they do.
Last, but certainly not least, the Stephen A. Smith Game of the Week from MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, which is ironic considering they're going to have games that are on back-to-back fucking days. The Dallas Cowboys will face the New York Football Giants. Cowboys favored by 3.5, over under 45.
Can I go last?
You most certainly can.
I thank you for that, sir.
Can this be another tie too?
Yeah, but in this case, we all lose.
It's because it's the fucking Cowboys.
And the Giants.
I mean, I hate the Cowboys more than I hate the Giants. And I guess I don't hate the Giants, but I don't have no stake in the game with them. But I despise America's team.
I mean, there's no Zeke there anymore. It's a make or break year for Dak, not only for what the Cowboys' expectations are if they're going to catch the Eagles, but it's also something I got to say, it's a make or break for his career. If he has another down year, his time in Dallas is basically done. He turns into whatever.
Like I said, don't like them. So I hope that Trey Lance starts by week 6.
I would love to see that. And then on the other side of the ball, you've got the Giants, who have the most overpaid quarterback in football and the biggest cop-out in football, I'm going to say, in Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, respectively. Barkley was one of the guys that originated that summit, and then basically took a deal that ended up paying him less than what he thought it was going to.
Daniel Jones he's just it's easy to make fun of him because it looks like when he's running, he's got buckets of cement on his feet.
Michael attests to this. It's like Bernie running.
Ooh.
Mike, you've been very quiet.
I have plenty to go.
Please, the floor is
right.
yours.
First of all, let's start with Danny Dimes. Wait, I got an even better one. That's where Danny Dimes is going to be fucking working after this season. Look.
They're open till 3 a.m., you son of a bitch.
Shut up.
And I have a wedding a week from tonight, and I have to lose 3 pounds.
So go there. I guarantee you do. Look, I don't think the Giants are a very good team. I think they caught lightning in a bottle last year because they had an easy schedule. They're not getting to the playoffs this year. Saquon Barkley signed a 1-year deal. That's all he's going to be there for. And Daniel Jones will regress. Brian Daboll's a great coach. Jim knows he was in Buffalo before he was with the Giants.
And he was in Cleveland before he was in Buffalo.
Exactly. He ain't got it. They didn't improve the offensive line. They didn't get him extra weapons. Goodbye. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. Danny Dimes is gone. I like the Cowboys here for one reason and one reason only. And that's Deuce Vaughn. You can't see the some bitch behind the line. And he is fast. And now with Tony Pollard being the featured back and him as the change-up back, that's not cool. Plus that wide receiver core, Giants defense can't cover that.
All I keep thinking when I think of Deuce Vaughn behind that massive offensive line of Dallas is those trick plays where the guy like kneels down behind the line, but he's still eligible to hide him.
It's like right out of Little Giants.
The only thing that I do enjoy on the Cowboys is, what's his name? Penn State guy, right?
Micah Parsons.
Parsons. He's an animal.
He is.
He's that's the one thing I can't take away from him. He's a bad man too.
He's an absolute dog. Absolute dog.
I
got Dallas covering this game, by the way.
I couldn't stomach even watching this game just because it's more typical NFL scheduling bullshit, putting on the matchup that everyone thinks that they want to see, but nobody gives a shit about. Nobody wants to see Cowboys Giants or Cowboys Eagles in prime time every single fucking week, it seems.
Well, it's not really the Eagles anymore. It's the University of Georgia. So, Jim, we are at 11:26 on the East Coast. I think there's one thing left to do, sir. You may hit the button.
Win the whole fucking
Thing. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Yakety Sax means only one thing. Actually, it means two now. And the first thing is this is the Wisey Translator, our favorite segment of the night outside of the Off the Rails that we get every single time we do this. The reason why it's the second thing is because the other day we sent Jim a video of Bobby dancing to constantly hitting Yakety Sax on the soundboard on my phone. Alex, he'd hit it and go like this. So as anybody watching who doesn't know, the Wisey Translator is when Jim and I give each other and our wonderful third member of the Wisey Elite Triumvirate any name or entity in the sports world or sometimes out of the sports world, and we throw out the first thing that pops into our head after the wonderful dulcet tones of the late 90s dial-up modem. So, Jim, Alex has given us, we'll call it the funniest pre-Wisey translator when I said, what do you call it when you murder a senior citizen? And Alex said the right thing to do. We've also had Brett Favre compared to Boss Hogg, and of course the Kyrie Irving sing-song douche canoe. So,
and since we're all here tonight, we actually do need, we all need to bring our A game. So that means,
you know what they say? Chin up, tits out, and watch for the shoe.
I sent him that right before the show.
Alex, that was the Tony Storm throwing the shoe at Renee Paquette last week.
Very good.
Which is the greatest gimmick in the world right now with that Marilyn Monroe thing she's got going on.
He's got it going well.
So, Alex, I'd like to give you your first entry into the Wisey Translator. Jim, you're going to hit the button. You want me to do it?
I got the button. Don't worry about it.
And, Alex, your first name is CM Punk.
You son of a bitch!
Future fast food worker employee or future fast food employee. There it is. Perfect. I was hoping you would do it.
It was on my fucking list.
To give to Alex?
Yes.
Future fast food worker.
Alex, did you see the video of the woman who got thrown out for her sign?
I didn't know.
What happened?
They were confiscating signs at Dynamite on Monday.
I did hear about that they were confiscating signs, but I didn't see anything.
She posted video of outside the arena. She got in and she said it lasted about 20 minutes. And this is a woman who's originally from the UK, was at All In, and then, went to All Out. So she was already in Chicago. The sign was perfect. She had two of them. One of them said best day ever. The other one said by Felicia, spelled PHIL-ICIA.
Good riddance.
That's amazing.
And they were they confiscated the sign. So she posted a video of her going to getting the sign back when she was leaving the arena.
That's phenomenal.
Really quickly for you, Jim, and I hate that, take this down the rabbit hole, but do you think that that Tony Khan starting the Collision show is now going to bite him in the ass because it was specifically for CM Punk?
I could see a scenario with that, but I mean, it's, 2 live shows would still probably be the better way to go because you were only doing Rampage for an hour. You really kind of cut that back. You eliminated Dark. It's way too much overload. I don't like the idea of softly phasing out the brand split, so to speak, because now you're going to end up taking a lot of TV time away from from guys that just opens this up, because all it does is it gets more guys on TV and it makes the product better. Sure, you let your champions cross over, but do we really need to see, as big of a Kenny Omega mark as I am, do we really need to see the Bucks and the Elite or FTR on both shows every single week? Do we need MJF on? Did you see the segment with him and Samoa Joe on Wednesday?
I did.
Wow. First of all, I want his shirt, the one that actually had like his and Cole's logos all over it. I want that. But that's the next rivalry I really, really need to see. But
it'll be interesting to see how that goes, because where does Adam Cole fit in the entire scenario?
yeah, this is going to be interesting to see. What do they do? Do they like softly have Cole start feeding with Roddy? One more dis or dat while I'm thinking about it. MJF heel, MJF face.
I like this little face run he's doing right now.
It's so goddamn fun.
Yeah, but isn't MJF been like the heel that's so good of a heel he's a face?
Really, since he started teaming with Cole, and Alex can back me up on this, is that he was the guy. He was very much like John Jones. Like, you tuned in to watch him get his ass kicked, and it never happened. But now he teams up with Cole, and there's something changing about him, and he's so lovable. Just the reactions that he's getting. It's like his new catchphrase is "No one's on the level of the devil." I mean,
it's almost the little bit of vulnerability that he's showing now as MJF is what's probably even further putting him into the fans' lap, and they're just like, oh yeah, I can get behind this, even though I know at his core he's a heel, but I like the soft side to him. It's still appealing.
Did you see the town hall with him on Busted Radio with LaGreca?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that I've got a whole new appreciation for the guy. Although I will say that I kind of knew he had this side of him in him, because when he was in AIW, the Cleveland-based indie promotion, they were running angles for months where Colt Cabana was his daddy. So he would always come. So there was one show that we came out. He was in that Colt was out wrestling somebody, and MJF came out mid-match and asked him to borrow $20 to go pick up a pizza.
That's great.
Michael,
Okay.
your first name on the YZ translator tonight, Joe Lewinsky.
Is that what Monica changed her name to when she did the Bruce Jenner?
No, that's our new highest paid quarterback.
Joe Lewinsky. Sorry. Joe Burrow. The Bayou done him good.
Getting out of Columbus did him better.
No, I'm serious. He wasn't winning the job. I mean, the guy who won the job only threw 50 touchdowns and almost 5,000 yards. Alex, would you like to give Jim one?
I will. I do, because I think it was very pertinent to the show today, but we didn't bring it up, and it's very pertinent to tomorrow.
Okay.
We're going to play the sound, or we just want me to?
You're going to give it first, and we play the sound.
Okay. Jim, your individual is Cleveland Brown, Denzel Ward.
They call him hospital for a reason.
I was waiting for you to have ambulance sirens or something.
No, because I really would have blown your eardrums out with that.
I turned it down.
Actually, that's more appropriate to how Denzel. That's actually more appropriate to how Denzel's gonna sound tomorrow. Number one, getting burned by Jamar Chase, and number two, after he stubs a toe and misses 6 weeks.
Wow. Jim, the way you act like with Denzel Ward, you think he played for the White Sox.
He should. Give him a contract.
Nice.
Fit right in.
It's horrific to think that the highlight of that man's entire career to this point was a targeting hit in college.
No, I'd say picking off Raplesberger twice in his first ever game was a highlight more than that one. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Blocking
you got barbecue back there.
I was there when he blocked a Justin Tucker field goal that would have actually sent that would have given the Ravens a win, and then the Browns won with 2 seconds left in overtime. But I don't know.
He have 3 picks in his first 2 games?
Something like that, but then, we all figured out that he's made of glass. And sugar glass at that.
Just like every White Sox player. Fantastic.
Alex, you'll appreciate this. He's the Orange Cassidy of the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, just ragged all around.
And yet now, considering he's going to play tomorrow, too stupid for his own good.
He went to Nordonia. What do you expect?
But Mizanin went to Nordonia. And you don't talk bad about Nordonia.
You're seriously going to try and bail Nordonia out with Mizanin?
Better than Denzel Ward because Mizanin hasn't spent, at least he shows up for work on a routine basis.
That's like trying to bail Cleveland out with MGK. Don't do that.
Hey, MGK is engaged to Natara. You watch your tongue.
Somebody should have told him that before Eminem eviscerated him.
He can eviscerate him all he wants. I have no problem still remembering Megan Fox from Transformers.
She hasn't been that since all the work she had done.
Yeah, although what's funny is one of the lines that they put in the trailer, there's a Jennifer's Body reference, and I have not seen that movie, and I'm told I need to because it's a cult classic.
It's good. It's her and
Amanda Seyfried.
Amanda Seyfried. Are we getting 2 tonight, Jim?
Let's do 2.
Okay. So why don't you give one to Alex this time, and then I'll give one to you, and he'll give one to me.
Alex, your second name in the YZ translator tonight, we brought him up a few minutes ago. He's got a little bit of a chip. Mike Evans.
My first inclination is cha-ching, because I would pay the man if I was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Agreed.
Is Mike Evans about to become the highest paid receiver in NFL history after this season?
Yes.
If he has we'll say this: if they wait till the end of the season, that's their course of action. It might end up biting them in the ass. But if he has a first, we'll say 3 weeks where he balls out, you better sign him. You better lock him up long term.
This dude balled out with Jameis. That's all I'm going to say.
I also remember this guy got thrown out for trying to throw a punch to a guy with a helmet on.
Best fight in football history was when Andre Rison and Dion were just smacking the crap out of each other in their helmets.
Cortland Finnegan and Andre Johnson.
I remember that one.
Because they ripped each other's helmets off and went at it. And that one started, correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, didn't that one start with a sucker punch
He did.
from behind?
Mm-hmm. I still see the tape of Mason Rudolph is out there somewhere.
Oh, what didn't you bring it up to me a couple of weeks ago that there was audio about something?
There was somebody on there said, put a caption up that they had a source that Mason Rudolph said, yeah, I said it.
But wasn't there something else that came out that was there was some investigation and they actually had evidence of that? Or
that's what the guy was referencing, that there was because of what he said.
Well, it was about something else. They said that they had evidence about scandal A, but yet they never had evidence of Rudolph actually saying it. Didn't you say that to me not too long ago?
It was part of the whole Gruden thing.
That was it.
That they had all the emails, but they couldn't find the audio of Mason Rudolph dropping the N-bomb at Myles Garrett.
I couldn't remember which one it was.
Yeah, and then someone on Twitter said they had a reliable source that Mason Rudolph said he said it. Hit him again, Miles, and this time put some stank on it.
I actually looked this up the other day. Myles Garrett's at 75 and a half sacks, and he's only 27. Nobody's going to catch Bruce Smith's record, but Myles Garrett, 2 good seasons, is going to be 29 years old and already to 100 sacks.
Oh, yeah. 12 and 13 in 2 years, yeah.
I am starting to be a believer that with the Browns schedule, Myles Garrett could be the front runner for Defensive Player of the Year.
It's him and TJ Watt.
I might have to give the onus a little bit to, and although it kind of pains us to say it a little bit, I think Myles might actually have the edge because I think the Browns offense is more suited to maybe put together a few more wins or score a little bit more to where defenses have to get pass happy, and that's going to allow Myles to pin his ears back a little bit more than TJ. Pittsburgh's going to be in a lot more close games this year. I think the Browns have the full capability right now with their team in terms of the offense. This might be the most talented Browns offense on paper that they've had since they came back in the league. I think the Browns could blow some teams out this year.
Until the snow hits the ground.
So that's why you do it now.
But you can't go 7-1 the first 8 and then 4-5 the last 9 and expect any momentum going into playoffs.
Very true, but let's also remember that we've seen Steeler teams start out 11-0 and then lose 6 in a row going into the playoffs and then get bounced with 28 points in the first quarter.
I know.
By who?
Baker. Who's mine?
Oh, this is me, right?
Yeah.
All right. This is a Twitter character, if I may say, for you, Mike. You might be familiar because he's also a New York Met fan, a controversial one at that. But Frank the Tank.
I've seen some stupid motherfuckers in my life. This bastard takes the cake. He makes Dave Portnoy look like a human being. He's a piece of garbage. I can't stand Frank the Tank. Listen, Mets Twitter is a dark place. Frank the Tank is the Nurse Ratched of Mets Twitter.
Oh, that's good.
Because I know you have some admiration for Daniel Vogelbach, and he just cannot stand him for anything. And it's just like,
do you want to know why Frank the Tank can't stand him? Because they're built the fucking same, but Frank the Tank was too stupid to get a left-handed swing. Number one. Number two, when he played every day, Vogelbach was a 30 home run all-star. Frank the Tank's claim to fame is that he's the asshole who screamed about trains running late and A-Rod talked to him on the air. He now works for Barstool, which is a cesspool of sports coverage.
I have blocked just about every Barstool channel that shows up on my timeline.
I would rather watch Stephen A. talk about Alabama for 24 hours straight with Jim Harbaugh as his co-host than listen to Frank the Tank or anything on Barstool.
and that's painful. That
You have
just
no
sounds painful.
fucking idea. Stephen A. makes my ears bleed.
Alex, you'll appreciate this. What's worse to listen to? Anything on Barstool or anything that comes out of Dave Meltzer's mouth?
Meltzer, he's a piece of fucking garbage too.
Thank you.
Let's put it this way. I think Jim would rather listen to Jim Lachey call games than listen to Frank the Tank.
Rotten son of a bitch, because I almost OTR'd when we talked about you rather than listen to a wet piece of tissue paper last week.
Jim Lachey makes Hawk Harrelson look like a Cubs fan. That's how much of a homer he is.
Jim Lachey makes Hawk Harrelson look like Jim Nance.
James, don't put Jim Nance in a sentence with those two idiots ever again.
Yeah, that was.
That's disrespectful.
Emotional damage.
I'm so glad you cut that one. So, the upcoming Wisey shows, we're moving up a day next week. Because Jim, as he mentioned earlier, has a wedding next Saturday night. We will come to you on the 15th at 9 p.m. the Friday, followed by the next week something pretty exciting. We will do our first ever live reaction show, as we will come on at 9 o'clock on Saturday the 23rd, and we will catch probably the beginning of the second half of the much anticipated matchup between Ohio State and Notre Dame, the back end of their home and home. Last year we did a preview of it with Willie, which brought us the Close Your Mouth Mike. And so maybe we'll talk to Willie about coming on for that one for a little bit.
All I know is somebody's going to be logging off that night in a real pissed off mood.
No.
One of the two of us.
No. November would put me in a pissed off mood more than this one. because I don't care. I've come to the point where I'm expecting losses this season because of the change.
I was almost thinking, do we do a live show during the game? But then again,
I can't do during the day
I was almost going to say it's like that would be the official end. That would be the series finale of this show.
because I throw my laptop.
One of us would actually end up sending a pipe bomb, nail bomb, glitter bomb, something to the other. But you'll already have your Christmas gifts by then, so what do I care?
Oh no, I would never cancel the show over anger towards you because my favorite college football team can't beat that 2-5 change the narrative because the media sucks scumbag that coaches that team up north.
All I can say is you have not won since this show's been on the air. It's the only time he gets the gloat. It's the only time he gets the gloat, Alex. They have not beaten that team up north since we've been on the air.
So it's your fault?
I'd like to think so.
No, listen, they haven't done it the last 2 years. It's going to happen. You can't win every single one.
Little Shane Douglas.
Oh, Jesus, shut up. So, Alex, I know with you, we were discussing work stuff before, and just like me, it's crazy. We are going to have a split show like we did a few weeks ago for the 5 years of the Big Rican. Coming up toward the end, at the end of the baseball season, we'll have a split show. The first hour will be the Big Rican Baseball Show. The second hour will be the Wise Guys. Obviously, invites there. Anything coming up, Pro 7, or are you just running around like a lunatic right now?
I'm like a lunatic right now. I wish I had more time, but every time I'm just like, let me carve some time out. I'm just like,
I got something else to do.
So I'm definitely doing my best to like stay in tune with sports and like what's going on in wrestling and stuff like that, and watch some games here and there when I can, and ideally watch as much football as I possibly can in the next number of weeks to kind of see how things kind of play out. But it's just like I get off of work on Friday and I'm just like, yes, it's the weekend, and I wake up and I'm just like, oh, it's Monday morning.
Dude, same. Like literally the only time I put into any of it is this is a longer show because we had you and we had a lot of content to go through. But literally the 2 hours I'm with him, I'm with Jim on Saturday nights or Jim and a guest and what have you. That's it.
Yeah.
Hey, are we doing the NBA NHL preview on the 30th?
We could do that. We could do it the first week of October. We got some time on that. It's also got to. I just thought of it. It's probably going to be a very exciting fall for Alex because he's got the Bears coming back. So there's a lot of anticipation there. With Fields, he's got Connor Bedard coming up with the Hawks. The Bulls are hopefully going to be a little bit more improved this year. So if you're a Chicagoan, it could be it may not be the most successful time, but it's there's a lot to look forward to. There's a lot of anticipation in the air.
I'll tell you what, their fall sports are a lot better than their fucking summer sports.
Oh my God.
And I love the summer, but I'm grateful for the winter that's fast approaching.
My only fear with Alex is that Northwestern basketball turns out to be more exciting than the Bulls like last year.
I mean, that's fine. That we can get into it another time, but that front office that runs the Bulls is also the front office that runs the new Turkish baseball team. So,
while I'm thinking about it, Mike, we didn't actually even address during the baseball segment. 30 seconds here on this. Steve Cohen buying a franchise within the Tiger League thing.
Listen, when you got that kind of money, you can piss away. Do what you do. But if you think about it now, because like they did with the Jake a few times where they do the golf in the stadium there.
Yeah.
Now Tiger Woods is going to be attached to it.
still be more entertaining and have a lot more reputable, backing than Live.
Agreed. Speaking of the city of my sports team, Bill Burr had maybe the greatest line I've ever heard when it comes to sports.
I think I saw this.
And do you want to know what it was? Do you know what the greatest New York sports success story is? When a guy from Cleveland bought the New York Yankees.
Mic drop. You should just sign off right now. That's it. Just shut it down.
And to think, and really put your thinking cap on for this one, Alex. Major League could have been about the Yankees had they let him buy the Indians.
Wow, that would just change the script on everything right there.
Clu Haywood would have played first base for the Cleveland Indians, and Rick Vaughn would have been pitching for the New York Yankees.
Wow. Perspective.
I was going to say, who's building the time machine?
Whoever was the commissioner of baseball at the time told him no.
Michael, before we sign off, we only have 6 episodes until the show. We've only got 6 weeks before that because then we're doing 2 shows that week.
Yeah, we will have 2 shows for you the week of the trip.
But we're not saying exactly we know what the first one is, but we're still not telling
We're not
you.
We're not going to bring up the second one. But yes, we will have 2 shows for you the week of the trip. One of those 2 will be the 50th Wise Guys episode. So it's going to be a little special.
Assuming we actually get it in, because there's also something else going on down in that city the week I get there that could throw a wrench into a lot of this.
We're 4.5 hours away from that hilarity.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the game against Georgia is the same week that they may start the Trump trial in Atlanta.
Oh, eventful.
Yes. Which is why he's flying into Savannah and not. James, I vowed to bring it up. I'm going to do it now. Would you like to tell everyone where your layover on the way home is?
You son of a bitch.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Jim's layover is in the clit.
The clit's real. The female orgasm, that's the myth.
Jim, write the time down.
11:57.
I'm sorry.
You are not making me up a shirt. No.
It's not going to say what I said it is. It's just going to say I found it.
Should I just bring Scissor Me Daddy ass and be done?
Good night, everyone.
We'll see you guys next week. Alex, it's been a pleasure as always.
Thanks,
We'll
bud.
talk to you here
Thanks,
in the
guys.
next couple of days.
Sounds good. You guys have a good night.
Good night. Enjoy the games tomorrow, everyone.
Happy NFL.